Alright, what's going on YouTube? Hidden Cup 4 qualifier, second round, Vinchester versus Project Belgium over here. Vinchester, a prime candidate to qualify for a main event. Project Belgium hoping to get there himself as he's the underdog in this matchup, but by far not a player without a chance in this one. This is going to be a fairly competitive series, I would say, although I think that Vinchester should have the upper hand, especially based on the fact that it's not Project Belgium being a weak player, it's about Vinchester being a very, very strong player currently. So here are the home maps. All of the games will be live, and that means that we'll have a couple of minutes downtime in between the games. So Cross is going to be Project Belgium's home map, and the other one is going to be Islands, whereas Vinchester is picking Hideout and Bay. So what I actually talked about here while the draft was happening is that Vinchester actually took Italians and Portuguese, the first two civilizations, for him, and to me that tells me that he wants to prioritize the best civs available on Islands, which is the opponent's home map. So I think that Vinchester is a little bit afraid of Islands, and I would also think that if there's one map where Project Belgium can outplay Vinchester, that's going to be Islands. I would assume that one of the reasons why Project Belgium didn't just snipe Italians from his opponent is because he was aware that his opponent still has Portuguese. Anyways, civilizations available for Project Belgium will be Vikings, Huns, Lithuanians, Khmer, Malay, and Saracens. Other side will be Italians, Portuguese, Cumans, Persians, Japanese, and a final pick of Sicilians. The first time in this tournament that Sicilians were picked, and that's the first time that either Sicilians or Burgundians, so two new civilizations, were picked in this tournament. I just want to point out that, as you see, Italians is one of the more commonly sniped civilizations in the drafts. That is because it's probably the best civilization for islands, and usually if your opponent is picking islands and he has Italians, you just snipe Italians away from him. In this case, that didn't happen overall. So the real question that we're going to take a look at is if Sicilians will be used here, and we'll see to what extent. When I was casting Round of 64 series of Vinchester, I told you that he's a master of unconventional or innovative strategies, and because of that, we are actually going to see Sicilians on Arabia. Holy smokes! Now, I was expecting something to happen, but I didn't expect Sicilians on Arabia, and we have a very, very interesting setup over here. In the previous round, Vinchester used Goths on Arabia, now he's going for Sicilians, and as I said, one of the reasons why Vinchester is so dangerous as a player, I think one of the things that separates him and distinguishes him from the rest of the pros is that he has a very, very out-of-the-box thinking. He's willing to experiment with crazy strategies, he's willing to experiment with some innovative and new strategies, really. He's in or on the list of the top 5 most innovative players out there, to be honest. So, anyways, a side note worth noting about this series is that both players do have a preferred color. Some players like to pick whatever they have, but Vinchester is usually playing purple, and Project Belgium almost always plays orange. So both of them will play their preferred color in this one. And we have a very interesting Saracens versus Sicilians matchup. I have no idea what Winchester is planning over here. It could be anything from a dungeon rush to sort of a men-at-arms into Vol First Crusade play. I think First Crusade is going to be a thing here. And we'll see what Winchester has on his mind, but I'm really curious how Sicilians will be used. The first time that Sicilians are actually used in a major tournament, Winchester, who else is the one that is picking it? Really, if I had to select one player that would have, if I had to predict who would be the first player that picks Sicilians in a major tournament first, I would have probably said Viper, Tato, or potentially Vinchester. These are players that are usually the players that experiment the most with new strategies and unconventional ways of playing, but especially Vinchester is an expert in unconventional situations. With that, Vinchester will be playing Sicilians on the south in purple. To the north, it's going to be Project Belgium in orange as Saracens. So let's take a quick look at the maps of the players. We have a very, very decent map over here for Project Belgium. The gold at the back and the bears are at the back. Easy Woloffs all over the place. So this is actually very, very nice. What I dislike about Project Belgium's map over here is that the stone is on the front. As I said, it is not impossible that we're going to see something like a dungeon rush. The secondary stone is even worse. And in case this is a dungeon rush, Project Belgium could be in trouble because of this stone. other side, Winchester's base is quite open from the left. It's not impossible to wall off this map. The stone is on the front, which is not nice, but once again, he's got berries at the back and gold at the back, so both of these maps are actually pretty decent, and there's even a stone at the back for Winchester. Now, given the fact that he's making his lumber camp over here, it is definitely far from impossible that he is going to wall this one off over here. So, wall here to the TC, and then potentially wall here, and he would have a significant portion of the map locked down with safe gold, stone at the back, and even a wood line, which would be an absolutely perfect scenario, I would say, for Winchester over here. So both players have relatively even maps, I would say, and really, I think the matter of question in this setup is whether or not Winchester will be playing, well, not whether or not, but whatever Winchester is going to be playing. Because it's very hard to predict this series. We haven't really seen Sicilians in a competitive environment. The first Crusade has been nerfed, so that is something that is still regarded as a strong strategy, because it still spawns, I think, 7 Sergeants per town center, but it's not as strong as it used to be. The real problem that Sicilians are facing is that they are somewhat one-trick pony towards the first Crusade play. So it's not like they have anything else that's really going for them. That being said, I would think, and that's just my personal perspective, is that what Winchester could be playing for is potentially just standard scouts if he wants to just, really play standard. He's 4 on wood. Forget what I said. It's 4 on wood. So this is not going to be standard scouts. Could be men-at-arms. Winchester, about half a year ago, I saw a couple of games from Winchester on Arabia. I think it was before KOTD, where what Winchester actually tried doing was pretty much men-at-arms into boom into castle and then flood the map type of a thing. So I could see something like that, like men-at-arms opening, wall your base up, and then progress towards castle age and potentially drop a castle or donjons, sergeants later on, or try to pop a first crusade. But yeah, honestly, I'm really curious about what he's doing over here. He's on 4 on wood. Project Belgium is playing 3 on wood, so this is likely going to be a scouts play from our Belgian player. Winchester will be walled off on the right side, and as I said, left side is easily wallable as well. So this should be a relatively well-defendable base for Winchester over here. Anyways, we are gonna have berries coming in right now for Vinch. He did push in 1 deer only, so not really a huge commitment towards that, but he opened up with that, and he's gonna go for some very, very, very expanded walls. So, really, it seems like he's going a little too ambitious with the walls, though. Like, I would much prefer if the walls were here and here, because it would make it a little safer. That being said, if these walls go up, that would mean that Winchester has a lot of, like, buffer area within his base, so even if his walls are getting pushed, he's going to be able to add the second layer pretty easily. So, look at this, he's actually walling off, like, what, 20% of the map over here? That's crazy. Like, every time you have a relic within your walls, you know you have some big walls on Arabia if you have a relic within your walls. Anyways, Project Belgium will also be going for what appears to be a standard 21 pop. I would assume it's scouts, although with 21 Saracens, you could make a case for straight archers as well, especially after some deer pushes, and Project Belgium did push in 2 deer, so 2 deer and 21 pop could be straight archers as well from Project Belgium, but it seems more likely that we're just going to see scouts from him because there is no villagers going to gold. So scouts, but eventually Winchester will be fully walled over here, going up to feudal with what appears to be a 21 pop as well, and he could just play standard scouts himself. So, in fact, if you think about that, in many ways, Sicilians is a slightly different version of Slavs. So, they do have an okay cavalry in mid-game, but they also have a very, very strong food eco. So what Vinchester could be thinking about is maybe I'm just going to play scouts, and I'm going to try and capitalize on the crazy food eco that I'm going to be having from my farms. So really reseeding them isn't really going to be a thing. If he grabs Horse Color before dropping farms, he's going to be fine for a long, long, long time. So Maybe he's just trying to use this as a scout civilization. Anyways, now he's venturing close to the opponent's base over here. And here comes the Sable as well. Vinchester will actually see that, and Vinchester is a very annoying player when it comes to microing units behind your back. He will try to make your life miserable by, you know, just trying to delay buildings whatsoever. He's really a micro nerd and a very, very fast player overall. So look at the speed that he's controlling that unit with. And it's one thing that he's controlling that unit that way. The beautiful thing about that is that he's actually having a good macro behind that one. And that's something that is missing for many, many players. They can micro well, but if there is no macro behind, then things are going to fall apart. And Vinchester is also skilled at that. So it looks like we're going to have scout fights over here. What year are we in? Sicilians versus Saracens scout fight. Now, Vinchester is actually hiding his stable over here. In fact, he's already adding a second layer of walls over here. So he may think that he won't be able to protect these walls, or he just wants to make sure that there is a secondary layer over here. So as I said, he did hide the stables as the scouts are coming in. Both players will be fully walled though. So eventually this is just going to turn into a little bit of a scout scuffle, and most likely both players will try to go into Castle Age over here pretty fast. So what Project Belgium could do is probably drop a market pretty soon. He only costs 75 wood for him. Easy drop off, and you could reinforce your walls over here or somewhere with a market. So that would be completely viable for Project Belgium, or like for example market here, and then you can just place 2 houses and that wall is going to be impenetrable in Field Age. So here's the deal. If I was in the game, I would be able to show you how much food those Sicilian farms are having. Unfortunately, we have Capture Agent that isn't showing, but I can tell you, all of these farms carry 300 food, whereas for Project Belgium, his farms are actually getting only like 220-ish food, and both players do have horse colors. So the efficiency in terms of farming is actually on the side of Sicilians. Those farms will need a lot of time until they run out. Anyways, as I said, it seems like both players will just be pretty much getting a couple of scouts out on the field trying to get into the base of the opponent, but at the end of the day, both of them will just be progressing towards Castle Age. The Project Belgium will actually try an archer range without the vision, or outside of the vision of Vinchester over here. So the thing is that Project Belgium could transition into crossbows over here, and as I said, his second building, well, he already has 2 buildings in feudal, so he doesn't need another building, but a market with Saracens is something you could really consider. In fact, selling your stone is more than viable here for Project Belgium. So if you're Saracens, use that market. It's actually better that you sell the stone here, go up to Castle, and when you need TCs, you just buy that stone back. Anyways, I feel like if Project Belgium is just playing Saracens in a standard way, Sicilians is going to prevail because just the raw eco is better for Sicilians. The Saracens really need that market to be efficient. And as you see, by the time that market goes up, I think both players will have the resource to go up to the next stage, so we're not going to see any major market abuse. And Winchester is probably preparing for skirms over here. I would assume it's skirms, because like archers wouldn't really make that much of a sense. I don't even know what the exact actually looks like for Sicilians, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think they do have Arbalest even. So technically, Sicilians are a solid archer civ, right? And Burgundians are the ones that don't have Arbalest. I'm still learning the new tech trees. But Sicilians do have Arbalest, so technically the archer line of Sicilians is actually pretty decent, right? So it seems like both players will be switching into archers, or it could be skirmishers as well from Vinchester, as the scouts of Project Belgium are slowly going down. Vinchester put up 1 more scout on the field. Sicilians have Aztec archers. Okay, so it's crossbow, arbalest, but no thumb ring. Yeah, that is actually debatable if that's alright for you. I mean, Aztecs are fine with it, but part of that is the fact that they can actually transition to Eagle Warriors later, and part of the fact is that Aztecs also train units faster. So even though the quality of the Sicilian archers are actually comparable to the Aztec archers, I think the problem that they're facing is that there is no specific bonuses to their archers. So it is just going to be skirms in double stables. Now, as I said, you can actually consider Sicilians sort of a version of Slavs. In terms of playstyle, you have a strong farming eco, you have okay cavalry, especially mid-game. And Winchester will be indeed playing double stable knights. I would think that Now I'm starting to understand why Vinchester was walling the way he did. And the reason why he was walling is because he actually wanted to wall his base off with these buildings over here. However, if he just walls over here and puts the buildings behind, Project Belgium can see them. If you actually take a look at all these building positionings, especially the stables, he's positioning this second layer in a way that the opponent can't see it. So the reason why he's building this big walls, or at least over here on the front, is to conceal the production buildings that he's hiding behind as the second layer, instead of putting them right against the wall where the opponent can see them. Project Belgium getting archers out himself, as Castle Age will be pretty close for both players, but since Vinchester is up to Castle Age a little faster, and he already has the skirms on the field, I don't think that these archers will do much here for Project Belgium. Eco-wise, both players are relatively close, and Vinchester, by the time Project Belgium gets up to Castle Age, he's gonna be able to catch up in terms of economy, so this is a completely even scenario. There is a second town center coming up here for the gold, and remember that when it comes to Sicilians, you always have to consider something, and that is First Crusade, which basically spawns 7 sergeants per town center, and that could be very, very devastating. So far, Vinchester is playing Sicilians very, very standard, so this could be any other civ, basically. And what I love about Vinchester's gameplay here is the scouting. Look at this. I'm not sure if this is just auto-scouting, but I doubt it is, because he's having multiple scouts exploring the map. So if this is auto-scouting, it would just be one scout. But no, he's actually manually controlling the scouts, or at least he shift-queued them in a way that he's able to explore basically all the map. He has a perfect map vision, and that's something that many players do not do, and then fail to find key resources. So Vinchester really has a very, very good map vision over here, as Project Belgium is bringing some of the knights with the skirms. It looks like Vinchester does have Botkin and +1 defense, but it's debatable if you want to open that gate for that knight, because the knight could just try to keep it open. Indeed, Project Belgium is going to flood in here. Now, the thing is that these units will not be able to do much, and it might actually work out well for Vinchester that he isolates these knights and skirms, or knights and scout from the rest of the army. And now the Saracen crossbows will bash through the walls. Project Belgium is going to go for a very, very aggro play over here, although he does have 2 TCs behind this one, so he isn't actually forced to go for full aggro. But it's worth noting that if that forward siege workshop goes up and Project Belgium brings in his crossbows here, he's gonna have 17 crossbows against only 7 elite skirms, and with siege support and even knight support, Project Belgium should be able to control this hill. Now, it seems like Vinchester is getting a couple knights on the field, but once again, no upgrades on those knights, so those will actually be pretty identical to what Project Belgium has, and this is looking pretty good for Project Belgium overall. Vinchester is on free TCs right now, but whatever he's planning, he's not really getting a lot of upgrades for the cavalry, he's not really getting a lot of upgrades for the skirmishers. They're missing +2 defense, and at the end of the day, oh, that's a disaster for Project Belgium though. That's a disaster, because now he's losing a lot of these crossbows. The thing is that Vinchester's army here is still pretty much intact, but the siege workshop goes up, and I think that's a sort of win for Project Belgium. And as I said, one thing that's nice here for Bagum is that his eco behind this one is actually pretty clean. So it's not like this is a full all-in in Castle Age. Obviously it's an aggressive play, but this is far from being an all-in. He's actually still playing on 2 town centers. Now, it's actually debatable if you want to dive in on those skirmishers over here with your crossbows. You might just want to preserve your crossbow numbers and wait until a mangonel pops out. And here comes the mangonel, +1 defense coming in now for Vinchester, so he's going to get a couple more knights on the field with a mangonel on the way as well for him to defend. So 2 TCs for Project Belgium. By the way, I haven't enabled the scoreboard. Sorry for that, but it's Arabia, so it is the first game, obviously. So 2 TCs, as I said. There is an overchop here, which could be annoying for Project Belgium, but you see that his macro actually is pretty nice. Vinchester is only 4 Voyagers ahead, and right now he's healing up the elite skirms inside the town center. That's a nice move over there. Project Belgium is missing ballistics, and he doesn't even have a university right now. But here come the mangonels, and I guess the angle of attack will be this side. Still, I am not 100% sure what Vinchester is planning with Sicilians. In fact, I have absolutely no idea what he's planning with Sicilians over here. Now, keep in mind that Vinchester is aspiring to get into the main event of the tournament, as he's taken out that mangonel very, very easily from Project Belgium. That was way too easy. Let's see if the knight is going to be able to take revenge on that mangonel. There's a couple of skirmishers shooting on it. I think the mangonel will be saved. Nope, it goes down. So, the thing is that Vinchester is aspiring to get into the main event of Hidden Cup, so maybe this is You know, he just wants to play standard here because he's confident he can beat Project Belgium. But maybe in the main event, he's going to use Sicilians once again on Arabia for a lot trickier strategy. And right now, he just wants to make sure that if his future opponents potentially see this strategy, obviously he doesn't know who his opponents are going to be. Although for players, it's always easier to guess. So you kind of have to assume that your opponent at least has a guess on who you are. So he could use Sicilians for a different strategy in the main event if that is the plan. Anyways, for now, Project Belgium will play pretty aggressive. And as I said, one thing I like about this for Bagum is that he's doing a lot of damage to the Eco of Vinchester. And I actually introduced this series as a series where Project Belgium will have a chance, but Vinchester should be the clear favorite. And my prediction was actually 3-1 or 3-0 for Vinch over here. But so far, I feel like Vinchester has been playing a little too passive over here. So now it's Mangonels pushing this DC over here. We have another decent Mango shot here. And it's only 5 knights right now for Vinch. And he's only 8 villagers ahead. And in the meanwhile, as I said, the DC is slowly melting over here. And that would be a disaster for Vinchester if it actually started going down. There's another Mangonel coming out. And oh, here come the knights. They're trying to destroy the siege workshop now. And that's actually smart from Vinchester. He's taking the hill. So we'll see if Project Belgium will just say, okay, whatever, you can have that hill, and I'm just gonna keep pushing your base. Because I feel like that's the plan for Vinch. He knows that what he's aspiring for is taking down the Mangonels of Project Belgium over here with this one, and simultaneously taking down the Siege Workshop, and it seems like that is going to be planned. I think now what Project Belgium wants to do is unpop that Mangonel on the other side and finish off the skirmishers, and then he's gonna be able to use the crossbows. However, we also shouldn't forget something, it's Saracen market, and that Saracen market is really showing over here in the form of arbalests. And the thing is that this isn't really enough for Vinchester to clean up the entire thing, but Project Belgium now should start considering, what if I just try to save that army? Because if he keeps about 20 arbs, especially with Saracens alive, that's going to just completely devastate everything that Vinchester has right now. Vinchester only has +1 defense still, so Arbalest will just absolutely annihilate those knights. Nice Mangonel micro from both sides. As for Project Belgium, this is a perfectly fine scenario. He's behind by 17 vehicles, but Saracens were never about, you know, outbooming your opponent. That is a nice Mango shot, but ends up being 1-for-1. It is about using your power spike that you're gaining from the market play, and indeed Project Belgium will add a lot more crossbows back at home. Siege Workshop as well, potentially for bombard cannons. And the thing is that I think that I like the Saracen. It's not really a fast Imperial, but a faster Imperial from Project Belgium as compared to the Sicilian boom here, because the thing is, as Vinchester is getting a TC number 4 up, I have a feeling that eventually this will turn into First Crusade attempt by Vinchester, but I have to say that Vinchester feels a little rusty over here. I have seen Vinchester playing better, so there were a lot of idols over here. Overall, if you look at the villager idle time, that's crazy. 115 over 14 minutes, and if... Yeah, sure, Vinchester has a 21 villagers lead, but there is a considerable difference in terms of the idle times of the two players. And what's even more important is that Project Belgium is able to preserve a pretty strong army, and he's gonna have Arbalests in about a minute or so. And it's not like Vinchester is close to imping here, and Saracen archers already melt buildings pretty fast. If you have bombard cannon support or ram support, Project Belgium could punish his opponent pretty hard for being late into Imperial. Now, here come the Knights, so Project Belgium really needs to save that army for like half more minute. Even if Bracer kicks in, that's already enough. So Knights will try to run in here. I don't think they can. And now Project Belgium can start moving forward. A fast chemistry is also somewhat likely, although it seems like we're going to see rams. So it's Arbalest ram play. Over here, Knights might actually try getting through here or over here. Project Belgium still hasn't actually revolved that, as Vinchester actually did some massive eco balancing. Now he's on the way to Imperial as well, so Project Belgium doesn't have a lot of time, but I think that is going to be a castle on that hill indeed. He's going full aggro. Now he has to be careful not to lose his eco to the Knights, but that's not an awful lot of Knights, so if Bagum just gets 6, 7, 8 arbs over here, he should be able to hold this one off for the time being, walls up these parts of his base, and honestly, Project Belgium I think is in the lead here. Because he's behind in eco, however, the units that he's having is just going to start melting buildings now. He can actually start diving in and melt production buildings. He can bring in some bombard cannons. And there's going to be a castle as well for Vinchester. Vinchester is still 2 minutes away from Imperial, and if this TC melts, and it's going to melt to the Arbalests, then... yeah, Project Belgium will dive in. Now the Saracen Arbalest bonus or Saracen Archer attack bonus against buildings isn't as strong as it used to be, but you still see how they are melting buildings. And if that happens, Vinchester is going to lose about 20 villagers, and there's already rams on the way, and that Imperial Age is still 2 minutes ahead, or 1.5. And it's not like it's impossible for Project Belgium to just keep walking and kill that TC as well. This is actually pretty scary for Vinchester, and I'm not sure how he's going to stop this one. And when I looked at this series, I wasn't even sure if this is going to be a series where it's not 3-0 for Vinch, because Vinchester should be the superior player by far, and that town center is at 70% with Imp, and I think that Project Belgium is trying to find the Imp TC. Now he's going for the Siege Workshop, but I think he knows that his opponent might be going up as well. But obviously he can't see this shining part. He's taking out a Siege Workshop first, so it doesn't actually eat a Mangonel shot, but that's huge, because that might actually save enough time for Vinchester to save that TC, but there's a trap. This is going to be close. This is going to be very, very close. 91%. Oh my goodness, I think it's going to be just enough. If Project Belgium went for the TC first and not the Siege Workshop, this could have been a TC dead and name denied. And if Project Belgium loses this game, it's gonna be on this Imp not being denied. Or if he just goes for this TC instead of this one. And that would have been more straightforward. Still, that being said, right now Vinchester is sitting on 12 skirmishers that do have Castle Age upgrades, whereas Project Belgium is pushing in with rams. He's going to take down this blacksmith, which means that Vinchester will be delayed getting the eco upgrades, and Vinchester's eco is gone. What is Vinchester going to do in this game? Like, he's trying to get plate barding now for cavalry, but it looks like, honestly, when I introduced this series, I said that I think that Project Belgium will have a chance in this series, and I would assume that he's gonna be able to win a map like Islands, but I didn't expect him to win Arabia. Now, this could be a cleanup from Vinch here, but Vinch doesn't have +4 defense on these guys, so this is not a good fight for Vinch either. Obviously, not necessarily a bad fight either, because he cleans up the orbs, but that doesn't change the fact that he lost way too many knights. And look at this, if he loses all these 20 villagers, the villager count is even, and Project Belgium actually has an army and Vinchester does not. That being said, Vinchester has managed to stall this push out a little bit, and one thing that Vinchester does really well is just surviving such crazy pushes. So now Project Belgium getting another castle up to protect his base, and remember that Vinchester is an extremely hard to kill player. One of the most resilient players out there is Vinch, so he really is not going to give up unless the game is guaranteed to be lost. This was basically what I wrote about him when I had to write an introduction about him for Visible Cup. Because in 2020, he didn't qualify for Hidden Cup 3, so he played Invisible Cup, which was Hidden Cup 3 settings for players who didn't qualify, and he actually ended up winning it against Bars. He 4-0'd Bars in the final, so Vinchester didn't get into the main event of the previous Hidden Cup, and Project Belgium is trying to make sure that it's not going to happen either over here. I think another castle is going to start happening, but remember, Vinchester is one of those players. I think Project Belgium actually said once that Vinchester and Stark are players like jelly. You punch them in the middle and they expand to the side, and that is what is happening, and the push seems to stall out a little bit here from Project Belgium. Is the juice running out? Now it's actually skirms with the Bracer and Chemistry, so this is no longer favorable for Project Belgium. That's a nice Mangonel hit over there though. But there is Cavalier on the way as well, and the thing is that Project Belgium still is behind in economy and population. Obviously, Vinchester is taking a significant punishment over here, but his eco here is still intact. There's absolutely no effort from Vinchester to push these villagers, which I think is a bit of a sloppiness from him. I think now Vinch will drop a castle somewhere though. Yeah, there's the castle. He's trying to play for gold control, which could still make sense as, remember, Vinchester had to rebuild his blacksmith over here because he lost the original one, which delays the progress towards plate barding armor. Now he's gonna have Cavalier. Vinchester is actually setting up rams over here on the right side. Project Belgium could make a couple of Mamelukes, and in fact Mamelukes could actually start becoming a reasonable unit here for Project Belgium if it's against heavy cavalry. Only Vinchester is out of gold, so it's 1,000. He could still take this gold over there though. But yeah, if Project Belgium actually had a couple of units over here, just 2 orbs, this would be minus 20 villagers for Vinchester. And I think one of the reasons that Project Belgium hasn't won this game yet is because he only killed 16 villagers, and this push looked like something that kills way more villagers than 16, let's be honest. this push looked like it has to kill something like, I don't know, 50 villagers. Now, it seems like Project Belgium once again knows that, okay, I need to melt that siege, or what is that, blacksmith, so that my opponent isn't able to get his upgrades in for his units. Now the cavalry, however, has +4 defense in, and the push, as I said, seems to stall out a little bit over here as Vinchester is setting up some cavalry raids from the left side and some rams on the right side. Is Project Belgium going to be stubbed in the final inches of Vinchester base? As I said, Vinchester is one of the players that is extremely hard to kill. Stark, Vinchester, both of them have arena backgrounds, and it is insanely hard to finish them off. One of the most dangerous situations when you're fighting against a player like Vinchester is that he's just not giving up. He's gonna fight until there's actually a tile of resource left on the map, or until he has a couple of units. And now it's Siege Rams and Cavalier, as Project Belgium now tries to make a tech switch into Camel, but we shouldn't underestimate the fact that he's behind by 20 villagers, and he is also Saracens, so he doesn't have actually any eco bonus other than the market, right? And when you're playing Saracens here, what should have happened is that he finishes off the game with the Arblast power spike, and everything was given for that. And I don't understand why these villagers are still alive. He had a bunch of ARBs here that could have killed all these villagers. The TC went up, but the ARBs would have destroyed that TC. And now that Vinchester is counterattacking, in fact, now that Vinchester is taking the score lead, we go back to that point where Project Belgium missed out on destroying the Imp TC by a split second. And really, that could be a difference maker here. Because if that Imp TC goes down, that's game over. If the Imp TC stays up, like it actually happened, Vinchester will have a chance to at least try to get a couple of Imperial Age units on the field. There is no way Vinchester would have survived for 3 more minutes to get Imperial Age once again. So that split second and the decision from Project Belgium to finish off the Siege Workshop before actually trying to finish off the Town Center could mean that now he's gonna be in trouble because his opponent is an Imperial. And as I said, now Project Belgium losing villagers over here. He was too busy cleaning up the push in his side his bone base, and 90 villagers at this stage is very, very low. Camels are coming out, but now it is full on Vinchester in terms of pushing, and indeed in late game, Sicilian eco is going to be much, much better than Saracen eco. And Vinchester, even though he lost a lot of buildings here, he hasn't lost ground, and that's important. Like, he still controls this gold mine. He doesn't control this gold mine over here, which is something that's worth considering, as now Vinchester is stacking into Arbalest. I think Camel and Arbalest may still be workable for Project Belgium though. So these camels are actually pretty beastly for Saracens. They do melt light cavalry, and remember that Vinchester is somewhat short on gold. And now these Arbs will actually clean this one up. So this is not over yet. Project Belgium will try to take a trap war over here. Look at this majestic castle over there. Vinchester is not repairing that castle. Project Belgium is out of stone, so neither does he. Other side, light cavalry coming in here as Project Belgium is trying to stonewall off his base to prevent the light cav from running inside. A couple of Mamelukes out to deal with the light cav raids. Arbalasts will start heading towards the base of Vinch. I think that's the plan. You kind of have to get to the base of Vinchester here, as Vinch is diving in with a couple of light cav to try and snipe the traps. It's 2 traps versus 1, but Vinchester has 0 repair villagers. Actually, there is 1 repair villager on it. But that means that this castle is going to go down. And if that happens, once again, Project Belgium could open up that front line. Light cav sneaking in on the left here. Project Belgium up to 97 villagers. Definitely one of the better games of the series. Well, definitely of the series, because this is the first game of the series. But definitely one of the better qualifier games. And this series so far has been delivering. I was scared for a moment that we might just see a stomp from Vinchester, but it doesn't seem like it's the case. And in fact, now Project Belgium is taking over in terms of villager lead. And one thing that you have to consider is that Vinchester is sort of on a timer in terms of gold control. So there's a couple of Mamelukes over here that will start pushing Vinchester's gold mine now. And the light cav raids will not really be very efficient when it comes to, you know, just happening, because there is camels fighting against that. And now Vinchester tries to snap down those traps, but one by one the cavaliers die to the castle pretty easily. As Project Belgium may spot the Arbalest, so he sees there is Arbalest coming his way. And now Project Belgium dives deep into Vinchester's eco, as he's trying to go for a couple of town centers, kind of cripple the food eco. Some light cav or Hussar would be great from Vinchester here, or Project Belgium. If he wants to win this, I think he will need some raiding force. Something that's a little bit more mobile than the Arbs, because these Arbs melt these buildings really fast. As Vinchester is massing a couple of traps over here, Project Belgium will spot the castle, and he will probably instantly react with a couple of traps being made over here. These traps are still alive, and they're taking down stables. as it looks like we're gonna have pikemen queued up for Winchester, but that's gonna take some time until he techs in there. Indeed, Project Belgium does have just feudal age eco upgrades, which is far from ideal. Now Bombard Cannon is on the way, Trebs coming in as well for Project Belgium to push that castle off. And imagine if these Mamelukes were hitting these villagers, Winchester would be losing those big time. And still, Vinchester is trying to rate his way back into the game with Light Cav, but very nice reactions from Project Belgium to just evolve its stone walls, as he's trying to dive in on that castle that may have been a little too overly ambitious, but he's gonna have free Trebs coming in soon with Bombard Cannon support, so this should be no trouble for Project Belgium to finish off. And remember, as I said, Vinchester is on a timer because he's really low on gold very soon, although he's still having 44 villagers on gold. I may have over-exaggerated that a bit, because it seems like he still has a lot of gold to work with. In that case, Project Belgium really needs some raiding force, like Hussars, for example, especially because the main force of Winchester is right now elite skirms. So, if you get like 20 Hussar on the field for Project Belgium, those Hussar will start absolutely shattering that army, and Project Belgium is still having a firm control over this game now, as the Light Cav now will be unleashed, and with no castle supporting, these Light Cav will start absolutely massacring those skirms, and in the meanwhile we already have Mamelukes raiding here. Winchester is dropping to 25 idols, so Project Belgium seems like he's slowly edging out victory over here. Oh my goodness, this was definitely one of the better games, and sort of an upset, because I thought that Project Belgium could have a chance against Winchester, but I didn't think that that's going to be in Arabia. I thought it's going to be one of the home maps of Project Belgium, which is going to be a little bit more favorable for him than it is for Vinch, but this is going to be an extremely important win for Project Belgium if he can actually pull this one off here. And he seems like he will, because he's killing villagers now on the stone mine. The villager count completely equalized. Populations are now very close, and Project Belgium dropping another castle in the middle of his opponent's base. TCs are going down. That's actually important, because the Light Cav raids will be a lot more efficient if the TCs go down here. So, the thing is that in a close series, winning Arabia could be extremely important, and now Winchester is losing all his skirmishers here trying to dive in, but that's too late. 49 army against 18. Winchester taps out, and upset in the making, ladies and gentlemen. Project Belgium, the player, as I said, who is hoping to get into the main event, but he's getting an extremely strong opponent. One of the best players in the entire qualifiers, Winchester, having a rough start over here, and I don't know if this was execution-based mistakes or this was decision-making based mistakes, but let's be honest, Winchester could have been stomped in this game. The only reason why Winchester even had a comeback chance is because the Imperial Age finished on that TC. If that TC goes down just a little faster, if Project Belgium has like 5 more Arabs in that group, the TC goes down just in time to deny the Imperial Age. So, with that, we are gonna have game number 1 in the hands of Project Belgium, and this means that we are, surprisingly, going for the home map of Vinchester over here. Project Belgium actually had a pretty nice KD over here if you take a look at that, 229 to 124, very well played, and Project Belgium had a way weaker eco than his opponent did, but he was able to just finish him off. That early Imperial Age helped a lot, and indeed, Bugum coming out really strong in the first game over here. And that actually is very good for this series, because this could be a close one in this case. Alright, so with that, we take a look at the home maps of the players. So Vinchester actually picked Hideout, and he also picked Bay. I would think that he's going to start playing with Hideout now, and Project Belgium will lose Saracens over here, and Vinchester will lose his Sicilians. So both players actually picked their final civilization for Arabia. So Hideout, I think it's gonna be like, originally I would have imagined Aztecs could be a possibility here. Now it could be Cumans for Vinchester, and we know that he likes to play with unconventional strategies, and Cumans would definitely be one of the moves that he could make. By the way, this also means that, as you see over here, Sicilians will now have a 0% win rate once this sheet gets updated. So Sicilians, the only time that they were played in the tournament qualifiers, they lost. So right now, possessing a 0% win rate are the Sicilians. Anyways, it looks like we are gonna have the next game coming up here in a moment, and that is Hideout, I believe. Yeah, it's gonna be Hideout, that's for sure. So they are setting up the game right now, and they'll be ready in a moment. So Hideout, Project Belgium versus Vinchester. Now the closed map is definitely something that favors Vinchester, because just like many other players in this tournament, Vinchester has an arena background. When I started casting Age of Empires 2 years ago, Vinchester was a pretty beastly player on arena, I remember, and many people said that if he starts playing consistently and practice, then he's gonna be one of the best players out there, and he seems to be getting closer to that. But for now, he needs to get through Project Belgium and potentially avoid being upset by him. In terms of seedings, by the way, Vinchester is seed 15 and Project Belgium is seed 18, so it seems like Vinchester is actually pretty low in terms of seeding. I didn't know that he was that low. I would think that based on his recent tournament performances, Vinchester could be justified to have a slightly higher seeding. So what Vinchester accomplished, he was quarterfinalist in Red Bull 3. He was actually in Team Russia in 2v2 World Cup, and he actually played with Dark and had a 3-0 outing against Norway, but still got to quarterfinals. Red Bull 2, he was round of 16s, and also won Visible Cup last week, last year, which was Hidden Cup settings, but also plays in quite a lot of smaller tournaments, medium-sized tournaments. So he played in AOE Olympics, he played in Double Cup, for example, and also was round of 16 in King of Desert 3. So still a little bit inconsistent in terms of performance. However, I believe that if he actually finds a little bit of consistency, he's going to be a top 16, potentially even a top 10 player. On his best days, Vinchester plays like a top 8 player. On his weaker days, he is playing like a 16 to 20 type of a player over here. Anyways, it looks like the spec delay is just gone. And that means that we'll jump into game number 2 over here, Vinchester versus Project Belgium. And I was right about the Cuman's pick over here, a civilization that ACCM loved to use on Hideout in Hidden Cup 3. Now it is going to be Cuman's for Vinchester, but it doesn't mean that he's going to do 2 TC Boom. Vinchester is known, as I said, for thinking out of the box, so he may have a surprise strategy for this map, but I would think that this is a must-win for Vinch. This is definitely his better home map, because on closed maps, Vinchester is an absolute beast. Bay is more like a hybrid map, so I'm not sure what Vinchester could do on Bay. If he loses this one as well, he's gonna be in a very, very tough spot, because, as I said, a map like Islands, I would probably give that to Project Belgium. So the other side is gonna be Project Belgium with Khmer in orange, and honestly, if there is one civilization that is sort of a counter pick to Cuman's, it's Khmer. Because with Cuman's, you will, if you just do a 2-town center boom, then the Khmer player will just go a 22 or 23 plus 0 fast castle, go for a forward siege workshop and stable for knights and mangonels, and you will just punish the Cuman player for being late to castle age. So I feel like Vinchester can't really afford to go 2 TC boom against the Khmer player here. Or he might actually still try, but in that case, the Khmer player could also decide, okay, I'm just going to go for fast castle, 3 TC boom, and Khmer 3 TC boom is going to actually beat Cuman 2 TC's boom over here. So this is a tricky matchup from that aspect. Vinchester is going to be placing his wood line over here. So it's basically the narrowest part of this forest over here. So that's going to be interesting worth monitoring. And in the meanwhile, for Project Belgium, he's pushing in deer, so is Vinchester. Now the deer always spawn on the outside over here. So that means that you kind of have to keep your walls or keep your gate open. With a sheep, that's pretty standard. and most players are just doing that one. Hey Dansong, hello there. So, some players, by the way, also like to open up their polisade walls. Like, I think an alternative to do this is potentially to open up 2 tiles and then replace with a house. But most people like to avoid that one and just go for the deer push through the gate. Not really a big deal, to be honest. Anyways, one thing that I would like to point out is that Vinchester's gold and stone are both towards this part of the map, which is the closer or shorter route in between the 2 players. So the way that Hidden Cup 4 hideout spawns all the time is that the 2 players will have a closer crossing to each other and there is a distant crossing, and the closer crossing always has the gold and usually the stone as well, so the neutral resources are usually over here, which means that the main fights will be happening over here, and this one is going to be a rather passive side of the map. This also means that having your gold and stone in the direction of the opponent this way is actually pretty bad. Project Belgium's gold and stones are that way as well, but I feel like Vinchester is actually a little bit more exposed to an early push, I would say. So, let's see what Vinchester is up to. He is only 2 on wood. I feel like this is going to be a 2TC play over here from him. He's pushing in all the deer. 2 on wood only makes me feel like this is going to be a Kuman 2TC play. The real question is what Project Belgium is thinking. He's going for 2 on wood as well. But with Khmer, he could still think about just fast castling that, to be honest. Because it doesn't need to make buildings. So he could potentially facilitate 2 on wood here as well. Even though if you want a fast castle, you probably want to just have at least 3 on wood, because that means that you can actually add farms earlier. And I think you kind of have to add a couple of farms over here, even with the deer push. In fact, Project Belgium, once he can afford a farm, that would be ideal for him. But based on the amount of villagers that are queued up, this is definitely not going to be an early feudal from him. So most likely we are seeing a fast castle over there. Anyways, Vinchester, if he wants to go for 2TC boom, this is probably going to be 20 pop-up, indeed. And will be chopping down the wood. And if you are Vinchester, you could make an argument for making a TC over here or here. It is debatable, because if you pick your TC over here, it's very, very exposed to a mangonel push. But I think you kind of have to protect your gold or your stone. And the real question is what Project Belgium decides upon. Is he going to try and play aggressive here and just go for an early Castle Age push and try to punish his opponent for booming on 2 DCs? Or are we going to see an ultimate boomer war and Project Belgium just out-booming his opponent over here? Based on the fact that Bagum, I don't know, it could still be anything. It's definitely a fast castle from Project Belgium. The question is if this is a fast castle into a siege push, or it's a fast castle into free TC boom from Project Belgium. Free TC Khmer boom should be able to catch up with Kumans pretty easily. Anyways, Feudal Age is coming in here, so this looks like it's going to be a 23+0 from Project Belgium, because he's adding 3 villagers on gold. Should have, I think, enough food over here. Maybe in the need of another farm, to be honest. Because he's got 300 more food left over here, hasn't queued up the villagers. Yeah, I think he will need at least 1 more farm here to make this one convenient. Or he needs to do some market trickery, but I don't think that he wants to do that. Because I think he's a little too low on food here in the middle. These sheep are almost out, and there's 100 more food left. So yeah, I think Project Belgium could really use a third, or not a third, but a second farm here. That's not really a big deal, but could be a little more ideal for him. Anyways, what is Vinchester up to? He's dropping TC number 2, but you see that by the time he's gonna finish with that TC, Project Belgium will be clicking into Castle Age. So at the end of the day, I don't think that Project Belgium will be behind by more than 5 or so villagers upon reaching Castle Age, and that's gonna be completely fine because, as I said, he could actually play multiple TC boom, and it seems like it's gonna be a multiple TC boom indeed here from Project Belgium, because he's chopping wood like a madman, but he's not mining any more gold. If he wanted to go for a siege push, he would be still keeping villagers on gold. And it seems like the game of Project Belgium is that, hey, my opponent is just booming, I'm gonna boom myself. Now this could be dangerous because Vinchester could surprise him with a Feudal Age aggression, although it is somewhat unlikely. I think Project Belgium was scouting Vinchester's base just to make sure this is not a sneaky tower rush or something like that, because that could be pretty devastating. Although tower rushing Khmer on this map is pretty tough because Khmer will still have a pretty good Castle Age. I also think that Khmer on this map is actually better than humans. In fact, I think Khmer is the most picked civilization for this map overall in tournament. Britons were sometimes picked, but I think in every series we're seeing Khmer. If Khmer is used, it's usually used on hideout. So, wheelbarrow coming in here for Vinchester has sort of enough food eco to go for a double TC play. And one thing that he could do is potentially not go for a full boom play here. So maybe idle his TCs a little bit and then transition towards an earlier castle age and a faster Kipchak play, maybe even with a castle drop. This is something that Villas did quite a lot of times in King of the Desert 3, I believe, and then many players started copying that build order as well. So instead of going for full greed mode boom and just boom until you can actually have enough food to click up to the next stage, what you do is stop making villagers at some point and then just go up to Castle Age, drop a castle, and get a couple of Kipchak. But look at this. It's 10 villagers lead right now for Vinchester, but he will soon be caught up with... Because every 25 seconds... in this game, Project Belgium will actually have one villager advantage or one villager caught up with his opponent. So that means that for Project Belgium to catch up, he needs 4 minutes game time. A little bit more because his thesis will go up, and that number would actually be a little shorter, to be honest, because his opponent still needs to go up to the next stage. Now it's a blacksmith for Vinch, so I think he might be thinking about going up to the next stage now. Still, as I said, if Project Belgium can consistently keep making villagers and he's even squeezing in heavy plow, so his eco is gonna be beastly. Heavy plow, boso, and making heavy plow before making a lot of farms is going to make his long-term food eco a lot more efficient than Vinchester's food eco is going to be. It remains to be seen if he can consistently produce villagers on these TCs, because I don't think that he will be able to. But still, there should be no major concern for him when it comes to food eco, especially in the long run. Holy smokes, we have a lot of lags, and I feel like, oh yeah, yay, I have to kill Capture H here, because we bumped into the memory leak bug. Apologies, you will actually be watching the game over here, while I have to kill Capture Age. So, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Capture Age has a memory leak issue, and the reason why you have experienced those lags is because it was filling up all the memory in my computer with its stuff. So now it is back in action, and we should be able to get back into the game in a matter of moments. So yeah, it is actually... Oh, that's why. I knew that Vinchester isn't going to just play very, very standard over here, and he might have something on his mind. And there's a sneaky forward stable over here on the right side. And he's actually patrolling his scout over here to make sure that Project Belgium will have a lower chance of spotting it. And indeed, that's an interesting debate if that heavy plow was a little too early, because you actually sacrificed a lot of villager production for that. The villager idle times and TC idle time will no longer be relevant for the entire game, because obviously I had to restart Capture Age over here. But anyways, at the end of the day, you see that by the time Vinchester reaches Castle Age, Project Belgium will have the same villager count, and you also have to keep in mind that Project Belgium has been playing with heavy plow and boso, so this is why this Kuman 2TC boom isn't necessarily perfect. But if Vinchester can actually start, you know, just getting a couple of knights on the field, this is a patient strategy from Vinch. I think that is very, very arena-esque in that aspect, that both players are just booming, but one of them is actually preparing like a big push. So if Vinchester is smart, he's not spoiling this. He's waiting until he has 10-15 knights and like 2 or 3 mangonels or rams, and then unleashing that on Project Belgium. Project Belgium is actually getting a monastery out, and one thing that I don't know is where Project Belgium's scout is at. Now, there's a stable coming in, so I would think that Project Belgium will start looking for relics, and that may be very helpful for him at finding the opponents forward. Now, he doesn't... Oh, he sees it. Project Belgium sees the stable. And that's actually extremely important right now. Wait, no. It seems like it was just a capture age bug. He doesn't see these buildings. Ah, that explains a lot. Now, he is making scouts, so apparently he believes that this is just going to be boom and relic collection. That being said, the villager counts are dead even. But if Vinchester is able to mass a couple of knights, and indeed that's the plan, he wants one big push over here. This is the biggest sneaky push. And if Project Belgium finds this, he's gonna have no trouble defending as this one. I think he will. I think Project Belgium will find this. And indeed he sees the stables and ultimate panic mode. And what you do here now is Stonewalls. You actually Stonewall yourself up, and he saws past the rams. And do you know what Cuman's having Castle Age? Kept ram. And this is something that is a very, very arena-esque game plan. Kept ram and cavalry. Basically, just booming, and then suddenly you appear with a bunch of knights over there. And Project Belgium will try to hold that one off. Now, there is a couple of monks on the field, and that is going to be a problem for Vinchester. That Project Belgium could make a couple of knights himself, and that's exactly what he should do. Start making knights himself. He already has a couple of monks on the field. I think that's only one monk, though. But Project Belgium needs to get a couple of knights on the field. He's got the stables. But now this is actually looking pretty good indeed for Vinchester, as the Cabrams will actually just break in here. 2 monks, getting 1 conversion overall. Khmer can still jump into houses, that is something, and it looks like Project Belgium will try to snipe down the Rams as he's making an elephant. But why is Project Belgium not making any army? I don't understand. He could be making knights right now, but he's not doing it. And the lack of scouting is gonna hurt, and honestly, this is why I said Winchester's strongest map is Hideout, and honestly, if Project Belgium has a little bit better scouting or just better reactions, so for example, he would be making knights, or unpopping those elephants to kill the rams before they actually kill the stable, this would have been a failure from Winchester, and he probably gets outboomed. But right now, Project Belgium is getting massively clowned. This is an absolutely, like, clown-esque arena strategy. You don't really see this on any other maps. It's the basically boom, and then we pop out all the military, and Project Belgium is dead. Oh, Winchester. And now you start to see why I'm saying that he's usually thinking out of the box. Project Belgium is dead. He's got no military, and the Cabrams are actually chewing through buildings. He got absolutely clowned up on. Like, I'm tempted to just put that one in there for Winchester already, because this looks over. Like, what is Project Belgium going to do here? He doesn't have an army anymore. And imagine if he actually started making knights before. But this is what I was talking about. Winchester was patient, he was waiting until he can actually pop his army. And the thing is that it's not like this is an all-in push from Winch. That's the brutal. Now it looks like Project Belgium will try to hold this one. However, the problem is that, as I said, if he's taking damage to his eco, and he has been taking damage to his eco, then his opponent will just outboom him, because now Winchester is on 3 TCs, and Winchester is having villagers on stone. And do you know what that means? That this is going to turn into a castle drop eventually. Another stable goes down, so Project Belgium is losing building after building over here to the Rams, and it is easier to replenish the army now for Winchester. He's just spamming in knights, he's spamming in Rams, and he's slowly eating the buildings of Project Belgium over here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This knight is just chilling over here right now. It's 68 villagers, and now that the monks arrived for Winchester, the elephants will start to get converted. I think indeed Winchester is going to win this one. Oh man. This was like T90 said he didn't want to get Arena into Hidden Cup. There were recommendations. I think Draken recommended to put in Arena to the map pool, and T90 refused. He said, oh no. And I understand why. Arena is somewhat boring to cast, because the first 20 minutes there is barely anything happening, and then suddenly an army pops out and could end the game, and that was very, very similar to that. We basically casted 20 minutes of game, 2 players booming, full TCs, and then suddenly Winchester arrives with a couple of knights, siege or caprams, and just destroys his opponent in 5 minutes. Project Belgium got clowned upon pretty hard, and that's the risk that you're taking fighting against Winchester. He always has surprises left, and that's the risk that you're taking free TC boom with Khmer. Because as much as it was unlucky for Project Belgium that he didn't scout it, was also a little bit greedy. He I think Project Belgium seriously thought that his opponent would just boom. He was like, okay, I'm gonna make a monastery so I can collect relics. I'm gonna make scouts because we're fighting for relics. He definitely didn't expect this one, and that is going to be his undoing in this game. Project Belgium and Vinchester now even over here. But you also have to keep in mind that Vinchester had to pull this little trick over here to overcome his opponent. So we will see if he's got some more tricks in his pocket, especially now that we're going to Project Belgium's home map, and which I think, if I had to make a prediction and a guess, I would say that's gonna be islands. It kind of has to be islands. So take a look at the civilizations. Oops. So Cumans are gone for Vinch, and the Khmer are gone for Project Belgium. So home maps for Bagum are Cross and Islands. I think if you're Project Belgium, you're picking Islands over here, and we are going to see, I think, Vikings versus Italians or so, or Vikings versus Portuguese. Because you're keeping Huns or Lithuanians for Cross. Both of those are available there. I think if you have Huns for Cross, then you will use Lithuanians on Play. Malay will be, like, it's either Malay or Vikings on Islands, because Huns, Lithuanians will be on Cross and Bay. So either of these work well for Project Belgium, so it's just his personal preference, which he prefers. So it could be Malay or Vikings versus Italians or Portuguese. For Vinch, he's got Persians for what I assume is going to be Bay. He also has Japanese for Bay. So I think that Persians, Japanese are likely to be Bay and Cross for him. And then Islands is Italians or Portuguese, probably Italians. I think he only picked Portuguese because he thought Italians will get sniped. Anyways, we are gonna have the next game over here, and I saw slopes for a moment. I am not sure if that's actually wrong. Persians actually can be nice on hybrid maps, to be honest, especially the combination of having a strong eco and the knights that deal more damage to archers could be nice. Yeah, it's not necessarily an S tier civilization, it's more like low A tier, but it is still a reasonable civilization for hybrid maps. Yeah, slopes is banned. I was aware of that. That's why I was surprised. Like, I was legit surprised that I was seeing that. Maybe they just accidentally misclicked the map. I don't exactly know. Alright, so they're setting up the lobby right now. Yeah, it has to be Cross or Islands. I think it's Islands. If you are Project Belgium, you're not going to Cross right now, you're going to Islands. Is AOE2.net down? Oh, that feels bad. I was looking for a lobby ID. So yeah, we'll see what Winchester has on his mind for Islands. Is it up? Then it's just awfully slow. AOE2.net. Okay, I just had to refresh it. And we're going to Cross, interestingly. We are going to Cross. So Project Belgium says, okay, I'm going to keep Islands as my final home map. That could also be something I can justify. I think if you're Project Belgium, you can think two ways. Number one idea is that you pick Islands here and try to win your potentially best home map against this particular opponent. And then say, okay, I'm gonna play Cross later in case I lose the opponent's home map in the decider game. The alternative option is that you say, okay, I'm gonna pick my potentially weaker home map. If I lose it, I will play my stronger home map. But if I win it, then if I lose in game number 4, and we have to go for game number 5, then I will have my stronger home map available. So if it is Cross, I would think it is Huns versus Persians or Japanese. I think it's Japanese. and you will use Persians on Bay, technically any of these civs could be on Bay, like Italians could work as well on Bay. There is no guarantees we're going to see Persians at all, to be honest. Neither is guaranteed for Japanese. I would think that on cross I prefer Japanese for the sake of being able to keep your fishing ships alive. Same thing alive, or same thing for Bay. I think Japanese Huns could make sense. Yeah, that seems a possible. That seems like a possibility, or it could be Persians, Huns as well. I think Lithuanians for Project Belgium will be saved up for Bay. But if Winchester is assuming that Project Belgium is saving up Lithuanians for Bay, he could be saving up Italians for there, because one of the ways that you could deal with the heavy cavalry of Lithuanians is generally crossbows. So that is something that you could also consider, that you save Italians for Bay and use Japanese over here. So it's Japanese versus Huns, Lithuanians versus Italians, and on islands, you would be going Portuguese against Vikings or Malay. I'm overwhelmingly happy, by the way, that my neighbor is actually drilling the walls, so in case you see some ambient noise like that, I sincerely apologize for that. So, have they actually started playing? We have to check. I wish they actually fixed the lobby search on Definitive Edition, because it's really annoying and hard to find lobbies nowadays. So, is the game up? That's the question, and it seems like it's not. So, we're gonna have to wait a little more, I believe. Oh, there it is. There it is. And we're going to cross over here. So, we can cross out one more home map from Project Belgium over here, as we are going into game number 3 over here. So, Winchester will be playing purple Persians on the left, and the right side is the more predictable Huns from Project Belgium in orange. Now, Persians aren't a bad civilization over here. It actually allows you to go for a crazy eco, and they have a very good Knights play. They do have camels available, which could be important fighting against Huns. Late game, I am tempted to say that I prefer Huns a little bit over Persians, but mid game, like Castle Age-ish time, I think Persians could actually overrun Huns over here. Huns will probably open with scouts and then transition to either archers or cav archers, whereas Persians, technically they could open archers, but it's more likely that we're just going to see scouts from Winchester over here as well. Anyways, Winchester's map does have a stone at the back. The gold is on the front, but it is not impossible to wall. Winchester is kind of halfway in between two pawns, so he's gonna have to make up his decision on which to go for. Project Belgium, on the other hand, once again, front gold and not so great stone. Overall, his base is quite open. And once again, he's also kind of halfway-ish between two pawns, although he's closer to one of them. So this is probably going to be the pawn for Project Belgium, and I would assume that Winchester will be using this pawn over here, although it's not impossible that he will go for this. So, deer push coming in here from both sides. And we're just going to see the standard hybrid map build from both players. So once again, the Dark Age of this one is usually not so entertaining, let's say. Usually to see the same things happen all over the time for both players. They will be sending vultures to wood. Now comes a vulture for the dog, and I guess this is going to be the dog vulture at the end of the day. Winchester does have a nice woodland at the back, which is important to point out, and technically I think his base is a little bit more defendable than his opponent is. Are the relics always right under the TC on this map? I don't think so. Oh, look, yeah, that's a good question. There's actually two relics. I don't think this is intentional. I think the relics are fixed position. But they just spawned right next to the TC. This is actually pretty bad because it's blocking a tile of farm. And it seems to be consistent for both players. This is a dream for a Lithuanian player. He's like, hello there, relic. One way to buff Lithuanians on a map is like spawning a relic right next to the town center. So, dock is coming up over here for Vinchester, so it is for Project Belgium. Preemptively walling in the vultures is something I really like from both players. It is better to just make sure that you drop those 2000 walls instead of actually, you know, losing a vulture to a scout, or in a slightly worse or slightly less disastrous situation, getting your dock delayed. But anyways, we are gonna have shorefish for the villager, of course, and deep fish coming in here for Vinchester. Vinchester actually has a very, very nice dock spot here. Like, this deep fish is right next to his dock. Project Belgium has to travel a little bit more. I think it's like one extra tile. Not really a big deal right now. Anyways, Vinchester is already focusing on walling himself, and there is a legitimate chance that he will just wall himself over here, which would leave this part of his own pond open. And that means that Project Belgium could technically sneak a villager over there to get a dock up. Project Belgium isn't really working with any walls right now, to be honest, so he's playing absolutely open, and both players will click to Feudal Age in the next couple of moments. Project Belgium will see the dock of Vinchester, and Vinchester is already spreading out his fishing ships over here. Eventually, you will start sending a fishing ship over here, so that you can actually spot if your opponent is making a dock here. That would be the nice play from Vinch. Same here for Project Belgium, although he doesn't have a perfect fish for that, so if there was a pond of fish here for Project Belgium, that's where he should be sending his ships. So if he's just sending it over here, it's unlikely that he's going to spot a sneaky dock upon him. Vinchester is actually going for Loom and Feudal. Project Belgium already has Loom over here, so Bugum is actually able to bring in a little bit faster Feudal overall in this one. So he's going to have a nice little one Vultures lead. It's actually... Wait a second. Something is wrong here. The Feudal Age times are better for Project Belgium, as he's actually taking this fight against the scout, knowing that his Voyager does have Loom and the opponent doesn't have a Feudal Age scout. So that is actually a decent idea from him. Damages that scout a little bit. Vinchester indeed walling himself off over here, and we will see if he's going to wall all the way to the other pond on the right side. He might just do that. Like, I can see Vinchester playing in a way that he will just wall like that, and try to go for a 2TC fish boom, or 2TC, 2-dock fish boom. And behind that, you know, just try to play full fire galleys with no land army and just wall. Whereas for Project Belgium, there's a Brax coming in already. Vinchester evading TC fire. In fact, there was not even any TC fire because, you know, there is no one to garrison the town center. As Vinchester is going to lock down this part of the map. Now, I remember Vinchester having a crazy game at some tournament on this map. I don't remember which tournament it was or when it was played. But Vinchester had a crazy comeback on this map. Might have been Visible Cup at some point, I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, as I said, no surprise about that. Vinchester will be playing rather standard over here. Just go for the fish boom and potentially fire galleys. Or honestly, if you're Vinch, you could make a galley here to prevent a potential dock. Right now, the scout of Vinchester is going to be killed by Project Belgium. So that is a nice edge over here for our Belgian player. And I would like to add that these walls aren't finished yet. And even if they were finished, the thing is that you can just run past this town center because Vinchester doesn't have Voyagers to garrison inside. Now, it seems like Vinchester is actually getting a barracks up over here. This Voyager is just sitting there chilling and watching the other guy do all the job.
Salam.
Come on, man. Can you actually start working? I think Vinchester just has the rally point set over here, but he may have misclicked the barracks or something because now we have two Voyagers idle over there. Anyways, Vinchester does have one Voyager lead right now. Project Belgium already expanding to the other pond. And let's see if Vinchester is actually getting a sneaky Voyager out. And that's not the case. In this case, I'm wondering what Vinchester is up to. Because right now it seems like he's just booming. And just like in the first game, his boom might actually go punished. So he needs to be careful not to just have a boom into GG build order over here. These are actually reeds, so they could be chopped down by a Villager and replaced with a Policide and then run in with the Scouts. But it seems like Project Belgium will not really commit to Scouts either, and both players would be just once again booming. In this one, Vinchester has one Voyager's lead, and his food eco is also looking a little bit better over here, both players with double bidacks. I like that Project Belgium is getting a galley up here. And the same thing should be done on the other pond, making sure that his opponent isn't able to sneak a dock up on him. And now Project Belgium is actually trying to get a sneaky dock up here. Interesting position. I wonder if Vinchester is going to be able to spot that. Yeah, Vinchester already sees it. So, I don't know why Project Belgium didn't go for a dock over here in this corner. He could have done it. And now Vinchester is getting housed, which delays the fire galley over here. Hurts quite a bit, because I think by the time the fire galley arrives, Project Belgium will have like half a fire galley made over here for himself as well. And the thing is that if Project Belgium is making a galley over here as well to patrol the shoreline, it's going to be nearly impossible for Vinch to sneak a dock upon him. And as I said, Vinch seems like he's just booming on land, getting a couple of scouts out though. And the thing is that Project Belgium is playing wide open, whereas Vinchester is fully voted. So Project Belgium won't be able to do much in terms of, attacking Winchester's land eco, whereas Vinchester could. Project Belgium will be playing with defensive spearmen for now, and he's trying to just keep track of Winchester's army. And it seems like Project Belgium will try another dock over here, just trying to finish off the opponent's fishing eco over here, as he is grabbing a nice little eco lead by 3 now. And I think that Vinchester already sees that dock coming in as well. Yes, he does. So we'll see when he reacts to this one. No fire galley from him just yet. But in this case, by the time those scouts from Vinchester would do much, I think Project Belgium will be up in Castle Age as well, and he's gonna have knights. Vinchester now getting a fire galley out. Once again, Project Belgium is having the dock up already, and multiple fire galleys will be coming in here. The thing is that the Persian faster working docks also help here a little bit for Vinchester in terms of massing the fire galleys. But the fact that Project Belgium is actually able to just push the fishing eco of the opponent is already an advantage. If he just made a demo here and sniped down 3 fishing ships with that, I would say it's perfectly fine, because behind this one, his food eco is untouched, and the only thing I would criticize is that he doesn't have a galley over here, so he could actually get snuck up on by a Voyager, and now he's going to lose this will over here to the scout. So the first Voyager kill of the game, as Project Belgium desperately tries to quick wall this, and that's not gonna happen. But this also tells him that, hey, my opponent is over here. And then Song, thank you so much for the new sub. Welcome. I appreciate your support. So, what happened here to Project Belgium's Voyager? That Voyager seems like it was killed, because there is 2 ecos, or 2 eco units killed by Vinchester here. It seems like maybe scouts have broken through and killed that will, and we have missed up on that. And now Vinchester is coming in here with the scouts. Those free scouts are actually coming in clutch here. And look at that, Den Song. What are you doing, my man? 10 gifted subs to the community. I greatly appreciate it. What is this? Are we at Christmas? Thank you so much. So Project Belgium is going to be absolutely annihilated on this lake. And now it's 3 Voyagers down. The Voyagers that were making the docks over here. And in the meanwhile, Castle Ages will be pretty close for both players. Horseclaw coming in here for Vinch, so he's gonna start adding some farms. I think you can easily add a couple of farms over here over time, because the thing is that your fishing eco will become a little bit more inefficient, but more importantly, your fishing eco is always exposed to aggression, whereas your food eco here is a lot safer. This is the same thing as, for example, on Kawasan. So on Kawasan, which is in style a somewhat similar map, you don't just go for full fishing eco, because in case something happens to that, your entire eco has collapsed immediately. Anyways, now there's a galley from Project Belgium, which is nice, but he is playing very, very open, whereas his opponent is fully voted, so counterattacks will have limited effect on the eco of Winchester, and Winchester, even having a 30 seconds faster cast stage over here, could even get War Galley for himself if he wanted to, but he will probably not do that. And if Project Belgium would be up to castle, he would get War Galley and unpop these when that happens. Since he has to fight this one right now, it is unlikely that we're seeing War Galley from him, because he's gonna lose this dock here, and he's gonna lose this dock here as well by the time War Galley would finish. So with that, we are gonna have 2 TCs for now for Vinch. Remember that Winchester has to protect that gold mine, and that's something that's worth considering. Now Winchester has a 2 Voyagers lead, also has Horse Color. Project Belgium doesn't have a single farmer on the way. So with that, Monastery coming in. Monastery is pretty standard in this setup. First of all, you can pick that relic up right away, and that's gonna be a nice little boost. But more importantly, it is a knight versus knight war. And when it comes to that, you will always mix in monks, especially if your opponent is a camel civ. So Winchester could mix in camels as well. For now, it is knights, but here come the camels. And the 2 TCs will be up for Project Belgium. I think you pick up the relic first. It is so close that you should be able to do that. And it looks like both players will be doing a 2 TC or 2 pawns fish boom. 3rd TC coming in here for Project Belgium. and no third town center right now for Vinch. So it's going to be 2 versus 3, and it also looks like Project Belgium will be continuing with Knights with absolutely no intention to go for Cav Archers. Eventually he may transition to CA, that's absolutely possible, as he takes a pretty decent engagement over here. But at the end of the day, you're fine with your Knights right now. In fact, you're actually better with your Knights than Persians are, because the Persians don't have the bonus that the Huns have in terms of faster working stables. So Huns could just outnumber Persians pretty easily in terms of Knight numbers over here. For now, Project Belgium will be playing 3 TCs here, which, by the way, is quite greedy on a map like this. So 3 TCs plus Fish Boom is just absolutely enormous, and it seems like both players are just kind of poking and probing around with a couple of Knights. It's not like either of these players actually wants to really commit to a big engagement. Vinchester getting a monastery up, so he's gonna be able to get some conversion as well, and probably will hold this hill for the time being. Now it's a 10 villagers lead for Vinchester, as Project Belgium has a lot of TC idle time. So yeah, it's 3 TCs, but so much idle time over here for him. So that's not perfect. For now, here come the monks, and here you target the camels if you are Project Belgium. But this is why Vinchester is just withdrawing those over here. One knight getting converted, and another knight could actually get converted, but in the meanwhile, Project Belgium is taking a bad fight over here. He's fighting camels and spears with knights. That was far from ideal, but that being said, he's still winning that, and for now, he's gonna have to withdraw and ends up in what seems to be a pretty even engagement at the end of the day. Still, Vinchester is going to be happy to take this one because he's going to be on 3 TCs as well, and it seems like he's already preparing a pikeman switch here. So 3 TCs for him, plus 2 dogs with the Persian production speed bonus on those. He's gonna have a nice little edge over his opponent, as it seems like Project Belgium is now running out of fish on this pond, which means that he's going to have to start dropping massive amounts of fish traps, which is going to be a little bit troublesome. Whereas if you take a look at Vinchester, he has, I think, a little bit more farms than Bagum, right? No, Project Belgium actually has more farming. This is going to be interesting to look at. Look at Project Belgium's resources, actually. Like, the thing is that 31 on food, especially with many of those fishing ships, and you also have 1,000 gold already in the bank. I would actually dislike the fact that Project Belgium is floating so much gold if it wasn't for the possibility of potentially going for an early Imperial Age over here. Because that's something that he could consider. Now, Camel's coming in here to raid Project Belgium's wood line. That is an unprotected wood line, as he's gonna have to fall back over here, loses 1 villager, loses 2. And I think he's going to settle with something like -4 or 5 over here. So he's falling behind in economy a little bit, but not by much. He's still just 4 villagers behind. And as I said, the resources that he has having in the bank is absolutely crazy. So he could really think about just trying to Imperial Age over here. I wonder what he could do in Imp though, because that's really debatable. Now he's preparing the CA switch though. And the thing is that if you have 28 on food, but you're going for the 100 cheaper Scav Archers, you can really think about Imperial. Because you will not be using your food for basically anything other than making voyagers, so you have a lot of excess food. And you will also have a lot of gold as well, because, as I said, those Cav Archers aren't really expensive. Project Belgium even takes this fight over here and sort of wins it. Yeah, he kind of wins it. For now, as now he's preparing for the Cav Archer switch. His opponent, Vinchester, is actually making Pikeman, and this is a perfect timing for Project Belgium. By the time Vinchester is switching to Pikeman, he's gonna have Cav Archers on the field. Now, he sees the second Brax. I think this is why he's actually teching into Cav Archer. Maybe he wanted to play with Knights, but then he saw double Brax and he was like, okay, I need Cav Archers over here. Another stable comes in here, so we may still see a couple more Knights, but no, that was just a wrong hotkey from Project Belgium. Tries to get conversions on those Knights. It's a lot of monks. 2 conversions, and now Project Belgium has to delete those Knights. Oh, what is he doing? What is he doing? He didn't attack the monk, and he loses the 2 Knights. The thing is that he could have just deleted those Knights, and that would have been completely satisfactory. Now the Cav Archers will move in, as the Mangonel will get sniped down. Pikeman will also get killed in this engagement, even though you have kind of thrown away those Knights very, very easily, and now you don't have a meat shield here. I feel like he should have waited a little bit more until he had some more Cav Archers to take this fight, because this was a little bit premature. Monks coming in here to follow this up, and this might have been a little too early from Project Belgium, trying to microwave with the Cav Archers, but loses all the monks in the process. and he's in the danger of getting overrun here by knights and the camels, and it's worth pointing out that Persian knights also deal more damage to cav archer. So it's not just against foot archers, it's also against cav archers. So Project Belgium has to be very, very careful here, and he could easily afford 4, maybe even 5 ranges production over here. He's only playing with 3 ranges for the time being. University for fast ballistics should be no problem for him. Still could really afford a 4th one over here, or potentially squeeze in Thumb Ring, because I think he's having a little bit of a production bottleneck over here with so many cav archers queued up on each of those ranges. Now obviously he has spent most of his resources to his tech switch over here, and let's see if you're seeing knights. It's going to be indeed just knights from Vinch. Monks will be on the way as well. Rams ump up as the Mangonel fires up hills, and eventually is not going to be able to finish off that other Mangonel. So it's a 1-for over there for Vinch. He takes down the Siege Workshop, he takes down the Rams, and I feel like Project Belgium may have actually moved out a little earlier than he should have had. Still, that's quite a lot of cav archers on the field, and Huns are really good at just massing cav archers, and the monks could also help out immensely over here for Project Belgium, getting a couple of conversions. And I wouldn't actually say that Vinchester is taking cost-efficient engagements, despite the fact that he's leading in KD. Voyager count, now slightly better for Project Belgium, and one thing that we didn't notice is, holy smokes, those knights actually came at the perfect time for Vinchester to distract Project Belgium. A couple of Voyagers killed here would be an absolute disaster for Project Belgium, and Vinchester has actually 2 transport ships. Rarely we have seen players gathering the relics over there, but Vinchester, he actually wants to commit to that. Project Belgium still having the Voyager lead after losing all those wheels, and Vinchester killed 14 Voyagers, never lost a single one. And now the camels are pushing in the middle. Once again, are we going to see cav archers just being insufficient for this map? You need so many upgrades, and the more we're looking at this map, the more it seems like it's just, you don't have time to mass all these cav archers. You just don't have time for that. And Voyager count is still that even, but Vinchester says, okay, it's my game. It's my game over here, and the thing is that I don't think that Project Belgium can stop this one anymore. And the raids have distracted him so much. And is he even going to try and contest that castle? He's getting close to clicking up to Imperial here, but I think that he might be able to delay that castle a little bit, but I think he's just going to settle with just killing this army over here. He obviously sees that castle, but he has no means of stopping it, so I think he's gonna give up on this position over here. In fact, he should be running with his Voyagers, otherwise he's going to start losing them. And what he can actually count for is Imperial Age, indeed, and then make a castle over here and trap this one down. Hunnic traps even fire faster, so he should have no trouble with the trap war. Vinchester is probably going to buy himself up as well, and it is also worth noting, as I said, that he will actually make efforts towards picking those relics up as well. So he already has 2 relics, and they make it 3 and 4 if he picks up the ones in the corners. So the castle is up. Project Belgium does lose that gold mine, which is something that's also worth monitoring. And indeed, his eco is looking messier and messier now, as we're getting another archer range out for Project Belgium. He also knows that, hey, my cav archers are being produced on these ranges and they will actually go down. The Imp TC is this one, which should have no trouble staying alive for the time being. What is troublesome for Project Belgium is that he's losing those cav archers to the castle fire. Also missing armor upgrades on those archers doesn't really help. Still, at this point, Vinchester could buy himself up to Imperial, and I think he will soon. Just getting +2 defense for those knights, that was a very late, given the circumstances. He was fighting as cav archers the whole time without +2 armor, and that kind of explains, like, if he has +2 armor in the fights that he has been taking, he would have destroyed those cav archers pretty easily. I wonder if this CA actually have Thumb Ring. They do have ballistics, that's for sure, but Thumb Ring could be nice and important over here, and as I said, these knights are actually doing pretty decent damage against those cav archers. The extra damage from Persians against knights or against archers is a very nice and underrated bonus, especially in team games, but in 1v1s it could be very helpful as well. So really those cav archers are dying pretty fast over here. Still, Project Belgium has an awful lot of food in the bank, as I said. I'm not sure what he's going to be doing with that. Vinchester is dropping another castle over here. Project Belgium just trying to pile up stone for his own castle. Here comes that castle. Massive market usage over here from Vinch, as the counterattack now comes from the north. Project Belgium is gonna have to make a hold here. Vinchester failed to hold the game in the Arabia game. Let's see if Project Belgium will be able to. But once again, just like in game number 1, Project Belgium will be beating his opponent to Imperial by a massive margin, but it is now Project Belgium who is losing vills. 26 vills killed to 0 lost here for Vinch, and that number is just increasing and increasing. He's raiding Project Belgium to death, and many times I have heard that, like, oh, why are you playing with walls? Walls this, walls that. But at the end of the day, one of the reasons why Vinchester is able to do what he's accomplishing right now is because he's walled, so Project Belgium has no chance of actually counterattacking this one easily, whereas Belgium is so open that raids can come from any direction. Even if these was just partial walls, it would actually help immensely. And the thing is that Project Belgium, he's not making traps. He's probably too focused cleaning this one up, but in this situation you have to make traps ASAP. And he had a 3 minutes lead into Imperial, now it is only a 1 minute lead, and he's up against 2 castles, so if he doesn't have 3 traps by the time his opponent reaches Imperial, he's gonna get trapped down. He has a Hunnic castle, and Hunnic traps more importantly, so Trap War is something that he could still win. However, his opponent has cavalry, and that can actually dive in and snipe traps, whereas Cav Archers aren't really capable of doing that. And the Cav Archer numbers aren't impressive either, it's 19 Cav Archers. Even though they do have Bracer, so they are actually doing pretty decent damage. Heavy CA on the way as well on this archer range. I'm not even sure if that's going to finish before this archer range goes down. Trap on the way. And you also have to question if Heavy CA is actually more important than... what is that? Thumb Ring, because I think that they're still missing Thumb Ring. Now, Project Belgium will try raiding his way back into the game once again, but it's 41 villagers killed compared to 10. He might actually take a good engagement here, though. Against those knights. Knights are still flooding around, and they are missing +4 defense, though, so this is actually a bad fight for Vinch. Not a single Imperial Age upgrade on those units, and now those are heavy CA with Imperial Age upgrades over there. Project Belgium may still steer this one back towards himself as he's taking down that castle. Trebuchet is just out on this castle from Vinch, but the reality is, oh, that's actually very nice for Project Belgium. Is Belgium going to come back into this one? Because the thing is that now, technically he has the Cav Archers and he's starting to force the engagements himself. The thing is, however, that now with Cavalier coming in, Vinchester might just be saying, okay, I'm gonna clean this one up and I'm going to counterattack your base over here. Project Belgium also needs to micro his army a lot more, and in late game that actually hurts very badly. So see, his army is kind of inefficient when you are not microing it. So it is requiring a lot more APM from him to actually micro the units. Vinchester is just going for full-on relic collection mode, and it's 27 army compared to 16. Project Belgium isn't really having a lot of Cav Archers on the field. Once again, it's sort of a production bottleneck, so to say, because he's definitely having multiple Cav Archers queued up on most of his castles, or most of his ranges, but he still doesn't really have the numbers. Castle goes down over here from Vinchester. He still has another one over here, but now it's Cavalier, and I think what Project Belgium could be hoping for is that Vinch has indeed won on gold, so Vinchester could have gold control issues soon. Project Belgium, on the other hand, has a rather cheap army as traps are being set up by Vinch over here. Still, Belgium is losing way too many villagers. Like, if he's he kind of has to stop this raiding going into his eco, otherwise he's going to die. Look at these romantic traps. They would just pass each other. Vinchester's traps being set up over here, shutting that castle. The only castle that Project Belgium has on this side of the map. Whereas this castle is being trapped down by Project Belgium's traps over here. That's a dangerous amount of Cav Archers, but the problem with the Cav Archers is that you need to keep one big group of them, whereas with the Cavalier, Vinchester can just keep raiding and raiding and raiding. Project Belgium loses the castle over there, but indeed Vinchester is very low on gold, and he is losing villagers more and more. This is still an open game, because one thing that Vinchester doesn't really have is numbers either, and even a Tarkan is in the party as well. So yeah, it's Cavaliers, but it is 15 Cavalier on the map against what is 42 Cav Archers now from Huns, and that castle is going down over there. Cav Archers moving on the left side. Holy smokes! Now it is potentially Project Belgium coming back into this game, because Vinchester is going to drop down in cavalry numbers really soon. Vinchester finds some additional gold mines for himself, but once again these Cav Archers could just hit these gold miners, and where is Vinchester getting gold from? That's the question. He's getting gold from here, which is going to be exposed to the Cav Archers in a matter of moments, even though Vinchester did dive in and snipe the traps from Project Belgium, so this castle will stand for some time. Cav Archers now coming in here, and Vinchester sees that what Project Belgium is saying, that there is blood in the water here. He sees that this is scouts, and if it's scouts, he knows that his opponent is running low on gold. Hans could also go for a couple of halberdiers over here. And it is still about the fact that you have 32 Cav Archers against, what is that? 4 Light Cav, 2 Cavalier, and Vinchester is trying everything he can, and in fact, he put a lot of emphasis to collecting relics, for example. He's got 4 relics collected. But this may still be insufficient, because at the end of the day, even though Project Belgium lost a lot more, now it starts to seem like Project Belgium is taking over, and the Cav Archer raids will start to materialize. This is a cleanup over here, but the cheaper Cav Archer helps a lot as well for Project Belgium, who is also running short on gold. That's something that's worth considering, that in a very, very long game, Vinchester still has the chance to climb back into this one. But Project Belgium, what he needs to do is make sure that he's keeping these Cav Archers alive now, because he's also low on gold himself. So if he starts running out of gold and he doesn't have the Cav Archers, he's once again going to fall behind, I would say. Also, it is worth noting that Project Belgium is going to have wood control issues, but it seems like there is another gold mine over here. Winchester will start making cavalry to deny this gold mine. As the counter raids are coming in, Project Belgium really has some issues with accessing wood in this game. He's going to be able to get gold, and it seems like he's also going to start adding light cav in here as the forging comes in. But only 19 on food for Project Belgium, 48 for Vinchester, and Vinchester still has the eco lead over his opponent. Finds these villagers. Project Belgium actually is going for a castle here to secure that gold mine, and the thing is that if you are actually able to keep making those cav archers, eventually you will starve Vinchester out of gold and there will be no more cavaliers. So the castle on the way over here. These villagers will also be intercepted, as I said. There is going to be some light cavs coming in here as Project Belgium reacts to that with a ram. Project Belgium is down to 96 villagers and only 12 of them are on food. I think those are all fishing ships, in fact. No, wait! There's a dock here from Vinch. He's killing the fishing eco of his opponent. So Project Belgium is going to have his food eco completely collapse. And now Daud Castle. What a game. What a game this is. And if Winchester is able to get kept ram, Project Belgium taps out. Oh my goodness. It was so close once again. Just so many small details going wrong for Project Belgium. If you think about the fact that he took a little bit early fight over here, if you think about the fact that he just didn't wall his base, this could have gone completely differently. And really, Project Belgium is playing outstanding over here, but Vinchester is a very hard to kill player, and he's just loving these long, grindy games. It really is something that has been absolutely astonishing. And Vinchester is winning this one, but I have to say that at the beginning of this series, I thought that this is going to be pretty one-sided on certain maps, and Project Belgium is putting up a fight. So this is not over yet, and as I said, now I think Project Belgium has used his weaker home map, and there is still islands. So technically, he can still steer this back towards himself, and he's gonna have to, in order to get into the main event, at least have a hope of getting into the main event, because if he loses, he's out in what is going to be one of the best series so far. Even if it's a free one, the individual games are absolutely impressive. The Arabia game was very nice. The Hideout game was a bit like clown-esque, so to say, but this game was also very long, grindy over here, and this is already a 2-hour series, and we have only had the 3 games. So Project Belgium loses Huns, and Persians will be gone for Vinch. He's left with Japanese, Portuguese, Italians, and Project Belgium will be left with Vikings, Lithuanians, and Malay for Bay and Islands, basically. Islands will be the next map. So it is likely, I think, Vikings versus Portuguese. I think Vinchester will be picking Portuguese here, and he will be deciding between Italians and Japanese. for Bay, and I would think that Lithuanians will be the final pick for Project Belgium if we go to Bay, and that would mean that Italians could be a very likely scenario for Vinchester over here. Anyways, we are gonna have game number 4 coming in here. So we are going to Islands. Now, this actually contains some spoilers, but I assume that most of the people that are interested in the first round of Hidden Cup for qualifiers, or at least, yeah, most of them, have watched those games already. I haven't casted, I think, 4 series still from round of 64, and I will finish those today, most likely. But the idea is that the Classic Pro versus Zupi series, if you remember the Islands game in there, which will actually be one of the most legendary games I've ever seen, the Feitoria hold from Classic Pro. Classic Pro is a teammate of Vinchester, so yeah, I don't think that Vinchester is actually having an upper hand over Project Belgium on Islands, but I'm not necessarily saying that he's behind either. So yeah, and indeed, I've been staying a lot offline, off stream, so I am 4 series away from casting all the 4 series, all the round of 64s in Hidden Cup qualifiers. It was a lot of work. I have to say this. It was a lot of work. Like an awful lot of work, to be honest. Anyways, actually, what are the series that I'm still missing? So what I'm still missing from the round of 64 was Lan versus Repard. I am missing Fish versus Dark, Bakti versus Ganji, and Noisik versus Vodka. These are the 4 series that I'm still missing from the round of 64, and I will try my best to grind out all 4 of them today. So, because tomorrow there will be the round of 32 like massive games coming in, and I don't want to get or leave anyone for tomorrow for round of 64, because like tomorrow morning I have some stuff to do, so I'll be missing, I think, the first series or first 2 series of Hidden Cup, most likely. So I'll have to catch up with those from recorded games as well. Offline casting, there is actually positives on offline casting. I think one of the things is that it's actually easier because I don't need to pay attention that much to chat. The other thing is that I can pause a recording. So for example, if I need to, I don't know, I feel like, hey, I need 5 minutes break right now. It's not like there is like an awkward silence whatsoever. I can just pause the recording and continue whenever I'm back. And also, because I'm using recorded games, it's also a lot more condensed. So there is no dying times in between games. It's a lot more just fluid, so to say. So I start casting and it's game after game after game after game. And because it's recorded games, I can also afford to do things like, for example, speeding through Dark Age on maps like Hideout, where it's unlikely to have anything interesting happening anyways, which obviously is really helpful as well. That also means that the time it takes to cast a series off stream is actually shorter than the time it actually takes to cast it on stream. But obviously, I'm mainly a live caster, so to say. So YouTube is just a secondary thing right now, although I'm very, very happy that there is so many people and so many good feedback on YouTube. Like, I was impressed. Because it's one thing that a lot of people are watching these compared to what I have put up recently, or compared to my like other casts, because a lot of people are interested in Hidden Cup. But what makes it amazing is that there's a lot of positive feedback, and I'm really happy about that. So, yep, thanks everybody for all the support and kind words. It really means a lot. All right. What also means a lot, especially for Project Belgium, is a map called Islands, and we will have to wait 47 seconds more to get in there. So, Portuguese versus Vikings, no major surprise about that one, I would say, which leaves Italians and Japanese available for Bay for Vinchester if they need to go for that, and that would leave Project Belgium with Lithuanians and Malay. So, Portuguese versus Vikings. I would think that the Portuguese player can open fire galleys over here, but this is going to turn into a very, very early galley fight. I wouldn't even be surprised to see double galley play. So, right away, both players going for galleys. Project Belgium might have something else on his mind, though. The thing is that in some instances, you could actually argue if maybe you can risk a fast castle and gamble on potentially not dying until then. I wouldn't actually consider it a good idea, but it is definitely something that you would consider. The reason why I'm not 100% convinced that Project Belgium should even attempt anything that is remotely close to that is because the thing is that Vinchester is actually a very aggressive player, so it's not impossible that we're going to see a landing from Vinchester. I don't think it's going to happen, but Vinchester is a very unpredictable player, so it is not impossible that we'll see something like that. So, looking at the map of Vinchester, he's got a nice gold mine over here. The wood lines are alright. What I dislike is this gold mine. This gold mine is going to be awful late game if he starts losing water, because it is just so close to water that this could be very problematic. Overall, it's an alright island for him, I think. Most of the resources are safe, but this could be a little bit troublesome late game. Project Belgium's gold mines are a little bit better over here, even though this one is a little bit hard to access because of the wood lines blocking certain parts of it. But both of those are safe from naval aggression. Stone mines are also nice. It's a pretty thick island, so it's not like wood lines can be easily denied by ships. Obviously, some of those are exposed, but there are a couple of wood lines that are relatively safe for Project Belgium to use. Interesting is the fact that the two relics are both very close to each other, and both on the far left of Project Belgium's island. That could actually be interesting if Vinchester attempts a landing. And remember that I actually drew a comparison to this series and the Classic Pro series, and Classic Pro actually tried an aggressive landing in that game. So it is not impossible that if Vinchester gains the upper hand on water, he will actually try landing to go for an aggressive play. Anyways, both players will be pushing in deer over here as it is very standard. I think Vinchester already is done pushing in all of them. No, actually he isn't. There's two more over here. So he will keep pushing, obviously. And the real question is, where are the docks coming up? That seems like a corner dock to me from Project Belgium, which basically is sort of a version of the side dock play. So it is probably going to be galleys. Well, obviously galleys from Project Belgium because he's Viking, so fire galleys isn't really an option. But it's probably going to be side dock galleys, but he's going to open with a dock here because you have a higher chance of finding multiple drops of deep fish in a corner than you have it over here. Funnily enough, if you actually place a dock here, that will be a perfect dock spot. Whereas this dock spot is actually going to be pretty bad for Project Belgium. I don't blame Project Belgium here, he's doing what he has to. Usually placing the dock in a corner actually is better than placing the dock over here to the side, but it happens to be like this over here in this thin area, and you could actually have a dock here, which would access free deep fish very close. Now, that being said, Project Belgium could still drop another dock later on, and I would assume that he will drop docks over here later, and Winchester is going for front dock, which makes me wonder if he's opening fire galleys and then slowly transitioning into standard galleys over here. Other than that, he is luring in his boar with his scout. I think I've seen maybe Dragonstar doing this on islands. It is pretty rare, and he has only done it for one of his boars, but he took 3 hits, which kind of means that he's not going to land over here. In fact, he's not even expecting his opponent to land, because if you expect your opponent to land or you're planning to land yourself, you're probably not wasting the HP of your scout on just luring in boar. But if you're not planning to land, this can actually save a couple of villager walking seconds, which can always be helpful. And this is something that some players did, especially I think in Red Bull Volo. There were multiple people that experimented with, instead of having 1 Voyagers on the shorefish when it comes to dropping a dock, you can actually send a second one to consume that as fast as possible and get a little bit of extra food for yourself. Also, you can take these Voyagers later on and take that hunt and walk back to the TC or so. Or a next level idea would be to have these Voyagers take the hunt, and when they are full of food, you task them to the shorefish. Because food is food, so they wouldn't lose the food that they are carrying. They would walk to the shorefish, and then they will realize, hey, we're full of food, and we will just go and drop it off at the dock. So that way you can actually drop off hunt food mediated by a shorefish, so to say, at the dock. That's actually a nice little trick. I've seen someone doing that very, very recently. So, anyways, we are gonna have a Project Belgium with 4 fishing ships at the back. Still not clicking up, though. Is he actually planning a fast castle here? As I said, it's not impossible. And yeah, it seems like we're actually getting closer and closer to a fast castle here for Bagum. Which would also explain why it's a back-ish dock, and it's not a tie dock play here from him. But maybe he's planning to go for a fast castle play here. Getting Gloom right now, I think this could still end up being a fast castle, because this is way too late for a standard galley play here. This seems very, very late, and also, now that he has clicked up, he's still keeping Voyagers on food. So, he's actually trying to fast castle this one. I wasn't completely wrong about my assumption here. The thing I don't like about the fast castle play here is that Vinchester is an aggressive enough player to land you if he sees that you're fast castling. Now, the fire galleys will be coming out, and the thing is that with Vikings, Vinchester knows that it's probably not front docks, so it has to be side docks or back docks, and what Vinchester is going to do is send the first fire galley this way. So Project Belgium will actually lose his fishing ships relatively fast over here, unless he sends them all the way to this corner, most likely. But this actually is going to be a pretty clean FC over here. If you take a look at the food count, that's already looking pretty decent. And the thing is that longboats will have a pretty nice upper hand over the early fire galleys or galleys of the opponent. And the real question then is what Vinchester is going to react to those. Because if he realizes he's up against a fast castle, he could still go for market, sell his stone, and compensate a little bit. Plus, his fishing eco is going to be untouched for a longer amount of time, so it also helps getting the food eco up. But at the end of the day, we are gonna have enough food already for Project Belgium to go up. And now he's gonna see the fire galley. So what he will probably do is like take 1 fishing ship and drag away that fire galley and save the rest of the fishing ships for now. And indeed that is the case. Feudal Age is in right now for him. He may actually go for a couple of galleys here, so that he can directly open war galleys when he's reaching Castle Age. Although I'm really not sure if he's actually willing to commit to war galleys. That's actually a nice move from him. He's dragging away the fire ship over here, so the rest of his fishing ships can work safely, even though there is going to be a fire ship coming in on the left side as well. So eventually, the fishing eco of Project Belgium will melt, and as I said, we even have a market coming in and Castle Age on the way for Project Belgium. He will lose his fishing eco. The question is if he's able to compensate himself for it. And as I said, the thing I don't like about this fast castle is that the market that Vinchester is making, he's selling the stone and he's going up as well. So the fact that you have fishing eco working for you completely untouched, and the fact that you're actually selling some of your resources will mean that Vinchester is going to have a pretty comparable Castle Age time compared to his opponent here. And he could even go for like already his galleys or potentially just fire galleys and go for fire ships to melt those war galleys in early Castle Age. He's going to be only behind by a minute in Castle Age time, which is a very, very nice and fast reaction from Vinch. As I said, he's, I think, a very underrated water player. Obviously, this is not his best map, but it would be wrong to say that he's not good on this map. He's actually pretty decent. He also has a very nice lumber camp spot over here. That's actually a very, very feels good man lumber camp. So, anyways, we are gonna have just a couple of fire galleys out here for Vinch. We'll see what he's up to over here, because not making any ships. So he may actually go straight caravels here. Nope, now he's making fire galleys, which I think is the right thing to do. Just go for fire ships. And especially because Project Belgium doesn't really have a lot of ships over here on the field, you can just mass those fire galleys or fire ships inside your docks. And eventually go up and get fire ship, and then you should have decent numbers. So Project Belgium is up to Castle Age here. Obviously, he's gonna have handcart as well working for him, plus less TC idle time, so that is a nice and easy eco advantage over the Portuguese player. But the Portuguese player, on the other hand, is gonna have a lower gold cost on the units, so that partially compensates Vinchester for the lower eco that he has. Anyways, we are... look at Vinchester resources. Vinch has crazy resources. That's what fishing eco gives you, by the way, on this map. Vinchester had a completely untouched fishing eco here, and as funny as it sounds like, he's actually not super far away from imping this one if you look at his resources and actually take a look at the fact that he could balance it out as well. It kind of seems like we are gonna have... a pause here in this game. So we'll have to wait for a moment until they continue. But anyways, so for now, 2 Voyagers lead for Vinchester, but he doesn't even have a wheelbarrow, let alone horse color. His opponent also has a Boso, and now Project Belgium's adding farms because he lost his food eco. And here come the longboats. So longboats could still be pretty devastating over here overall. And soon, the question is, what is Vinchester going for? In the very, very long run, caravels are actually pretty decent against longboats, although that's more of a team game unit. So, it seems like the game goes on now, so we are continuing over here, and with that, there is a university for ballistics, so indeed caravel are coming in. Now, caravel in low numbers aren't amazing as longboats because longboats are moving faster, and the thing is that caravels are just like scorpions. They are a very, very good auxiliary unit, but as damage dealers alone, they aren't really perfect. Still, they will be alright over here for now, and Vinchester is going to be massing his caravels against Project Belgium's longboats here. Bugham's eco is going to be better, but technically, Portuguese are meant to counter the longboats. These longboats do not have Botkin either. There is Botkin for Vinchester ships, and I think he's getting ballistics in a matter of moments with that university. Get some nice shots out here. Oh, that's awful for Project Belgium. This is his tournament life on the line here. Tries to go for the fast castle longboats play, and funnily enough, many pro players say that fast castle in 1v1 islands is just a suicide. It seems like it is indeed, because Vinchester is able to keep his fishing eco alive completely. The galleys are getting cleaned up over here pretty easily. So Project Belgium will try sniping a couple of fishing ships, and he will be actually successful doing that. So Vinchester was able to keep his fishing eco alive until this moment. In fact, I still think that he has some fishing ships working for him. Whereas Project Belgium lost his fishing eco a lot earlier, and these new fishing ships are also dying pretty fast. And the thing is that that and the market usage will compensate Vinchester for not actually playing fast castle build here. It looks like Project Belgium will also try to play free TCs, so it feels like he's losing water, and that means that he will just try to outboom his opponent over here, and then drop a dock or drop a castle and redock. That's something that you can always do, and if you're Vinchester now, you could actually think about a landing. Theoretically, especially with Vinch having this fishing eco still intact, he's not impossibly away for Imperial, especially if he isn't encountering a lot of longboats, because he can just idle his docks if he wants to. But I'm 100% sure that Project Belgium will think about redocking with a castle right now. So when you're outnumbered in water like this, what you can do is either go for like a faster Imperial and fast fire ships, which obviously is not an option for Project Belgium over here, or you can try booming and then redocking and then just capitalizing on your stronger eco, because you should be able to outboom the Portuguese player. Although, look at what the caravels are doing to these guys, and the thing is that this is why Portuguese are so frequent as a water pick, because caravels are actually very good against longboats. Longboats stack very well, and because the projectiles go through all of those units that are stacked, caravels are extremely good against those longboats. And the thing is that Project Belgium is on 2 army. And the thing is that you could say, oh yeah, he's gonna outboom his opponent. But will he? Will he actually outboom his opponent with 3 TCs when this woodline is getting denied? When Vinchester is gonna have access to fishing eco and Vinch is on 2 TCs? I don't think he will outboom him. Because Vinchester can add more fishing eco to compensate. And the thing is that Project Belgium might try redocking. He's floating a lot of gold. But here is the deal. Arabia was won by Project Belgium, which I think is a map where I expected Vinchester to win. But in the upcoming games, Vinchester was able to dominate these special maps a little bit more. They were close games, so the hideout games could have gone very, very differently if Project Belgium spots this capped ram night push earlier. The cross game could have gone a little bit differently if Project Belgium is a little bit more defended back at home and loses less villagers to raids. And I wonder if those caravels can reach those villagers on the stone. If they can, that's actually a disaster. I think if you actually camp a caravel here, it might be able to reach the stone miners. Yeah, I think Winchester is noticing that. That's a disaster for Project Belgium. His other stone is over here, that's takeable, but he is going to lose 1 or 2 villagers over here, and he has to reposition the mining camp. That obviously delays his redocking attempt, and I guess what he wanted, looking at those resources, especially considering how many villagers he has queued up, is probably drop a castle, redock, and go for elite longboats in Imperial. That was the plan here for him, because he would have the food if he canceled these duels. It's 150, 250 over here as well, and 150 over here as well. That's like solid 500 food being floated in these town centers. And he has the gold as well. So he could go into Imperial right now. The problem is that by the time he's able to do that, his opponent is going to be Imperial as well, because Vinchester is having a good enough eco as well to go up, especially if he sells some of his wood, which might be something that he doesn't do, because if this game goes very, very long, selling that wood might actually backfire. But for now, as I said, especially with Project Belgium just getting the second building up, I think the best case scenario for him is an even castle-ish or even Imperial-ish timing compared to his opponent. Villager count is 10 in the lead for him, and there is already a transport ship over here. It could just be a monk from Vinchester, because there is 2 relics on each island, and the 5th one is here in the middle. And picking that up is extremely important. Imperial-ish times are pretty much identical here, so if Vinchester just goes for this, he could pick this relic up, or more importantly, he spotted these relics as well. And I pointed out at the beginning of the game that Project Belgium's relics are so close to each other over here, as he's trying to redock over here the sneaky place, because he doesn't have the stone for a castle just yet, but that's not gonna happen. Vinchester is doing an excellent job spreading his ships out over here. Well, not these, but these guys all over the place, to deny any kind of redocking attempt. And you can see that Project Belgium is kind of... he has no idea what to do right now. And that is because Vinchester is playing this one really well. And as I said, the transport has the monk in it, and there's also a Voyager. Project Belgium, even if he's able to redock here with a castle, I think he's gonna drop a castle now back at home over here and tries redocking at the back. But this will be spotted by Vinch, as well as monks trying to convert the caravels. One gets converted, and the second also gets converted, and that means that the castle is probably going up. The problem that he's facing is, look at that. Vinch is actually yoinking that relic and also transporting a Voyager here. And that should be... what is that going to be? I guess it could be some knights, but he doesn't have a barracks. This is where having Italians would actually help a lot for Vinchester, because he could just make barracks and go condos. But now it is a redocking over here from Project Belgium, tries to go for the longboats. He didn't even have Botkin out the whole time, by the way. So Vinchester yoinking the relic, and there is the barracks indeed. Now it's a full redocking from Project Belgium. He's a 17 villagers lead. The problem is that his unit composition isn't good enough, and he's taking into war galleys. So this doesn't seem like it's gonna be longboats, it's gonna be war galleys. And I think war galleys are actually pretty decent against caravels, but depends on how you micro them. And you also shouldn't underestimate the fact that Vinchester can afford a castle, and that castle has to be on this island. Because if you place that castle on that island, you actually take that neutral gold and stone for yourself, and also in the long run, the extra relic that Vinchester is grabbing is also going to be helpful, plus a Faitoria. Multiple Faitorias. As I said, Vinchester and Classic Pro are teammates, they practice a lot together, and you see the similar styles in here. And you might say, why Faitorias? They aren't really efficient. Yes, but you have a lot of population space that you are not really using right now. And the longer you have Fetorias, the more resources they generate, basically. So if you're starting to run out of resources and start thinking about, hey, I could do some Fetorias, that might already be too late. Here, just like relics, the longer time you have, the longer the game is, the better it is going to be for you. So I really like this Feitoria play from Vinchester because, as I said, it's not going to give him an awful lot of resources immediately, even though it's a nice trickle already. But in the very, very long run, if this game goes very long, it helps him outlast his opponent, basically. There's a barracks over here, but it's not making anything. As Chemistry is on the way for Vinch. He's just waiting with his caravels, as Project Belgium is waiting for the longboats, I think. Project Belgium, we have like one shot at dealing with the fleet of the opponent, and that is it. What is that idle eco from Vinch? Voyagers making houses. Probably fishing ships were idle for some time, not something that's really big. So, it's just a couple of idles. But still, Vinchester is gonna have 3 relics. He's gonna drop a castle here. The only thing I'm missing really from Vinch is a castle here. Here's Elite Caravel careening as well for the extra Pierce Armor. And if Vinchester gets a castle up, that's also important. He will get one of the most important water upgrades available in Age of Empires, Karak. Because if you do that, that's actually a pretty cheap upgrade. I think it's something like 250 in wood and gold. And that gives 1 extra Pierce Armor to at least your galleons, but I think it also gives 1 to caravels. Which means that not only will these caravels have more HP than the galleons will, actually they have the same HP, but with careening they will have extra Pierce Armor, and with Karak they would have 1 more extra. Plus also remember that if the galleons stack up, the caravels can get some nice shots out, and that's something that also is worth considering. Now, Karak isn't in just yet, as you're going to see one of the best animations of the game. Caravel sinking is a very, very nice animation. As you see, Project Belgium is trying to spread out his fleet over here now. Truth being told, that's 32 galleons against only 23 caravels. So, unless those caravels are really getting some nice shots out, the caravels could be in trouble over here. Still, I think that the collateral damage that they're causing with those projectiles are compensating Vinchester for the lack of numbers over there. And yeah, it seemed like it's 7 ships left on the field only. That is because Project Belgium does have his fleet separated elsewhere. So, a berserk. A single berserk from Project Belgium cleaning that barracks up over there. And conscription coming in from both sides over here. Look at Project Belgium giving treadmill crane, 2-man soul. The thing is that now Vinchester, all he needs to do is just outlast his opponent though. However, from a situation where Project Belgium was seemingly dead, he's at least going to have a chance at taking this game. It's a small chance, I would say. But if Project Belgium is able to take control over the middle islands and ride the train of having the extra gold and stone over his opponent, that could be something to consider. There's going to be multiple castles for Vinchester over here protecting his docks. And remember, the Fetorias, plus the fact that Vinchester has 3 relics, and Vinchester could have had 4 relics, including this one, could be a massive difference maker in the very long run. So Project Belgium is on a timer. However, that fleet is growing and growing, and it's 40 galleons now against 18 elite caravels. I think, as we're gonna have a dry dock, which is an extremely important upgrade coming in for Vinch. So Project Belgium seemed like he was dead, but you also have to add the fact that it's 112 Voyagers. So Eco Lead technically is over there. The very, very, very long-term Eco Lead will be there on the side of the Fetorias. However, what Project Belgium has to make sure is now he has to take a decisive engagement, pretty much level that fleet, and then he needs to get a couple of cannon galleons and start shelling these buildings. Land over here in the middle, get traps out, and that would be the ingredient to win, especially because Vinchester seems like he's going to grab relic number 4 as well. So if it actually starts getting to a stage where players are running out of resources on their islands, Vinchester is going to have a massive advantage. 4 relics and Fetorias over Project Belgium, who has 1 relic over here. So order traps are out. So I guess the idea is that indeed Project Belgium is preparing the fight. So he's waiting for dry dock. There is still... No, there is Karak now, you see. 8+2 pierce armor, which also makes Portuguese caravels pretty devastating over here. But here it comes. Project Belgium will simultaneously push the middle over here with his ships. 60 galleons against 42 caravels now, though. In proportions, Project Belgium's advantage isn't as big as it was before, as it is going to be ships exchanging fire on both sides. Still, there is quite a lot of stacking from these galleys. This is now or never for Project Belgium, and I feel like the galleons are dying a little faster than the caravels are. Castle being denied over here, or at least being delayed, and it is still 29 caravels on the field against 16 galleons, and now they stack up over here. And indeed, if Project Belgium moves in earlier, he would have had 40 galleons against 20 caravels. He now had something like 60 against 40, so in proportion, he fell behind, and now this is over. Because Project Belgium is down in ships, and as I said, all that Vinchester needs to do now is just wait. That's all. He needs to just wait, make sure that Project Belgium doesn't get to those islands, and this is game over. Sinking a transport will also be helpful, because that delays Project Belgium's advance over there. And it seems like Vinchester, after a sloppy start in game number 1, we don't know what he was planning with Sicilians, but Project Belgium seemed very strong in all of the games, I have to say. So Project Belgium made this very competitive. Each of these individual games were quite competitive, and there was no games where we never said that there is no chance for Project Belgium. Or at least, even in this game, before this fight, it seemed like there was a chance for Project Belgium. Now there is none. And credits to Vinchester for coming in here prepared. Nice strategy choice for hideout with the capped ram and cavalier, or not cavalier but knight play. He actually outlasted Project Belgium in the long run on cross, and it also seems to be the case over here. Elite longboat now for Project Belgium. He's not going to give up on this easily, because this is the final game of the series, but as I said, the longer the game drags, the worse this is going to be for Project Belgium, especially now that Vinchester is able to access that gold in the middle, and if there's a castle up here, then Project Belgium has no hope of reclaiming this island. And all that Vinchester needs to do now is just defend. Project Belgium still has some gold on his island, and like there is one hope here for Project Belgium, I believe. And that is if he can actually cripple the eco of Vinchester on his island. But that's going to be awfully hard. Multiple castles are protecting this, and there's going to be Faitorias. So raiding it is also very, very hard. Project Belgium will prepare one more counterattack here. But as I said, he's making Berserks. He wants a landing. Now the thing is that if he's landing with Berserks and Trebs, he could melt the Faitorias, and there is not really a lot of defense here for Vinch. And that's really the only hope for Project Belgium. Cannon Galleon on the way for Vinchester, so really Project Belgium is on a timer. However, as we have seen in the Zupi vs Classic Pro series, a counterattack on the opponent's island can actually finish things off. It is a matter of how good that counterattack is. And it seems like Vinchester is bringing in bombard cannons to defend. He knows that there is going to be a landing, I believe. The tricky thing here is that it isn't enough to just raid your opponent here. You actually need siege. And Vinchester realizes. Vinchester knows exactly that there will be a landing attempted here, so he's already going for a castle with cannon galleons. Project Belgium, with Dry Dock, he can fit 20 units in there. Really last chance for Project Belgium over here, as that castle is being shelled. Vinchester will see this landing. The question is, how is he going to react? I think he's just going to sail past that castle and just dive in and try to snipe. Potential transport. Here's the castle from Project Belgium, though, and he's got a couple of berserks to protect his eco with, or protect his ships with. So, truth being told, if that castle goes up, that could still be a little bit concerning for Vinchester. Very, very similar. Like, this game was actually super similar to the Zupi vs Classic Pro games. It is 38 galleons at 16 or 18 longboats now versus 34 caravels. The tricky thing here for Project Belgium, I believe, is that he needs to deal with the Faitorias and the castles really fast. And that might be through rams. And it's going to be a siege ram push here from Project Belgium. Because siege rams could actually be pretty decent over here. Because the thing is that what can Vinchester do to fight them? You can do organ guns, you can do villagers, as there is arquebus to deal with the infantry. There's no squires on this infantry unit, but still berserks might actually be able to take down low amounts of organ guns here. Shrubs being set up to take down the Faitorias over here. And meanwhile, there is going to be a lot of galleons moving in. Mismicroed, I think, by Project Belgium, because he's not focusing down all the ships, but if he actually focuses them down, most of the fleet for Vinchester is here. I think Project Belgium can win that fight. He's got 60 ships against 20. This is winnable for Project Belgium, and it actually has to be winnable for him. So, here come the Rams. As I said, Capped Ram, Siege Ram is going to be one. And now it's going to be a big fight coming in here. Vinchester is losing the water. Still, the problem persists. Project Belgium is not controlling the extra gold, so he's really on a timer. So, the timer is probably less than 10 minutes right now, game time. As ships will exchange fire over here. Remember, now the Feitoria start becoming efficient, but one thing that is worth pointing out, Vinchester is low on wood. All the wood that Vinchester had on his island is on this side. If Project Belgium is able to delay Vinchester from accessing wood, he might be able to edge out a victory on water, because Project Belgium still has a bit of a gold left on his island, not an awful lot. In fact, he's running short on gold pretty rapidly, but he's able to access this gold mine, and more importantly, Vinchester has very, very little wood to work with, and Project Belgium's fleet is already a little bit bigger than his opponent's fleet is. That was some very, very nice shots over there from the Caravels still. But the Caravels are slowly going down. I think Caravels have a little bit higher gold cost than Galleons are, but someone confirm me on that. Longboats now spreading out nice and even. And indeed, Vinchester's eco could be in trouble here if Siege Rams start pushing this one. Trebs are out, but they're not doing much. Project Belgium's eco is starting to collapse though, so really, he has minutes away from defeat. However, he's going to make one more push happen. It is impressive how similar this game is to the Zupi vs Classic Pro games, because that's the same thing as well. It seems like there is a chance for Project Belgium to finish off this game. Because now that the Rams are coming, especially with Siege Ram, he's gonna be able to start melting buildings as well, and there's not a lot of villagers that can actually kill those Rams anymore, believe it or not. And as I said, Classic Pro is also having a tough time accessing wood here. He only has, well, he has 24 villagers on wood, but those are actually walking long distances. Yeah, 43 gold for Caravel and 30 for a Galleon. So the gold efficiency of a Galleon is actually better than a Caravel. And now it's no, it's actually Elite Skirms. It makes sense. Ram and Elite Skirm here, and as I said, all you need to do is just starve your opponent out of wood. And if, and that's a big if, Project Belgium is able to sustain this push and take down the Feitorias. The Feitorias are the key. As long as the Feitorias are alive, there is little chance for Project Belgium. Especially now that he's losing his ships. Oh boy. This game is so similar to the Zupi vs Classic Pro game. It's impressive. Because now, all the hope that Project Belgium has is taking down those castles and taking down the Feitorias. And it seems like the Rams are gone. I cannot find words for this. This is copy-paste the Classic Pro versus Zupi game. The same play from the Souls member, Vinchester and Classic Pro. The same play from the opponent, and really a very similar result, as the Portuguese player is just going to be able to outlast the opponent in this one. That was an impressive game, and this one is as well. And minor details, like for example, Project Belgium still having one relic over here, whereas his opponent is on 4 relics. And indeed, at least Project Belgium was able to make this one a bit more competitive than it was initially the case. That being said, Vinchester is dangerously low on wood. So that's something that's always worth keeping in mind. The two games are very similar, and now, in terms of water control, Project Belgium is just... He still has 14 ships though. So technically, Project Belgium still has a fleet, and at least he's able to access wood. Now, these villagers getting killed here, soon the problem is going to be for Vinchester that he is going to lose the bombardments. He's losing a lot of wood units here. That was very sloppy from Vinch. And the thing is that this castle is going to go denied, which means that Vinchester is going to be very low on wood. And that is a difference compared to that game. And what Project Belgium could do is hope that his extra wood is able to outlast yeah, basically, the extra wood is helping him outlast his opponent over here. It's still debatable. It's still really debatable, and soon, I think, Project Belgium will need light cavalry over here, and now it's over. Cannon gunners are taking out that castle, and it seems like the skirmishers are doing an awful job dealing with the organ guns. They barely killed anything, and they just got absolutely slaughtered, and now the castle goes down, and this is the moment where Vinchester can just finish off this entire push here. Project Belgium has one more fleet over here, but the extra gold, extra stone, relics, and Fetorias are starting to show, and this is why. This is why Vinchester actually went for Fetorias. Because he didn't need them at that very moment, but in the long run, they generate you a lot of resources. Especially the stone is very helpful from the Fetorias. Because you're getting getting gold, wood, and food. That's something. But the stone as well is really helpful when it comes to just defending your castles, taking additional positions with new castles. And I predicted 3-1 at the beginning of this series for Vinchester, and surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, Vinchester is actually winning this one. What was surprising in this series, I believe, is that I thought that the Islands game is going to be the one that Project Belgium wins, and that the Arabia game, for example, is going to be a stomp from Vinch, and that didn't happen. And the thing is that in many cases, I felt like Project Belgium had a little bit of a tough time finishing off games. The same thing that happened on Cross. Very long game, but Vinchester is able to grind it out. This is also a long game. Vinchester is able to grind it out. And I feel like one of the key ingredients to that from Vinchester is that he's always setting himself up for a very, very good late game position. Collecting relics, scouting the map. Remember, when I was looking at the first game, and it was 3 scouts from Vinchester, and I said, I really value that he's using those scouts to scout every inch of the map. Vinchester is an excellent player in the aspect of setting himself up for long-term success. He's always prepared for being in a very, very long game, and that really shows. Some of it actually comes from his arena experience, and now he's just 1 round away from getting into the main event of Hidden Cup. I think it would be a well-deserved qualification from him, because he's still one of the better players of recent memory, and he's a very, very fun player to look at as well. So he is extremely good in very long and grindy games. He's extremely good with unconventional strategies. So congratulations to Vinch and Project Belgium. I don't think that he has to be sad, because, as I said, if Vinchester plays his best, he's a top 10 player. The fact that Project Belgium made this series very competitive, this was a very, very competitive series, means that Project Belgium also had some very, very good performances overall. And if this wasn't a player like Vinchester, this could have been Project Belgium winning it. So Project Belgium is also slowly crawling closer and closer to that top 16-ish. Right now, I think I would probably put Project Belgium somewhere between 16 and 24. But really, Project Belgium has also shown a lot of improvement compared to himself. I remember when I started casting him on Woobly, he was far apart from these skills. So he got a tough opponent here, and I think he made the most out of his chance over here to get this 3-1 scoreline. Still, Vinchester gets to the main event, and that is it. So, GG's, and congrats to Vinchester.